خمسة نبدأ إن شاء الله عقب دقيقتين. I think we should start now.
Yes, Brother Abdurrahman. I think, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Hussain, Sheikh Assam, sir. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Brother Abdurrahman, I think we can start.
طيب، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Thank you for everyone to attend the second day for public hearing session regarding the draft of Sukuk. So we continue the hearing session, and today uh, Sheikh Assam and with Mr. Umar Ansari will lead the session. So now we ask Brother Amal to start.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Thank you everybody for joining us again today, and I hope the numbers will increase inshallah shortly. Yesterday it was attended in very large numbers, alhamdulillah. The discussion that we will be continuing today will be till point number 7, section number 7 we had discussed. So we are going to start discussion from point number 7 onward, 8 onwards. However, I think that yesterday a couple of participants mentioned that they have some points related to point section number 6 and 7. We can take those points, inshallah, before we move ahead. And again, you can always send your comments in writing at Shariah at AOFI.com, the email address that was provided yesterday as well. We can we before we move ahead, I would just like to request Sheikh Isam Ishaq Sir, thank you very much for joining us. And just a request, if you would like to say a couple of words about this standard, its significance, before I share the screen and we move ahead with the discussion on the standard.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I think you must have discussed this at length, and the respected attendees have all attended various workshops and discussion groups at length. Sukuk, we all know when it began some 20 years ago roughly, it was hoped to be the jewel in the crown of Islamic banking and Islamic finance. Sadly, it didn't take the route or the development as sought and hoped for. But Alhamdulillah, corrections have been made on the way, and I believe that this standard, if properly adopted, and given the strength and the backing of the necessary regulators behind it, it will put Sukuk in its proper place in Islamic finance as a whole, not only in Islamic banking. And we have, of course, many people to thank in developing this the standard. The AAOIFI Secretariat, Brother Umar Ansari, but this in the Shariah board as a whole, but especially and specifically, we would be doing great wrong to ourselves and everyone if we forget to mention the very direct and overwhelming input of Sheikh Usaid Al-Kailani in the development of the standard. Alhamdulillah, we have him with us also today. Yes,
Thank you.
Jazakumullah.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Allah bless you and bless all the mashayikh of Sharia board, particularly Sheikh Hussaid, as you mentioned. Thanks, Sheikh Hussaid, for taking out time for 2 days. MashaAllah, he's available even with us today as well. Sheikh, with your permission, I'll just start sharing screen from point number 7 again, last point of section number 7, on which I myself have a small point based on a point raised yesterday. Yesterday, towards the end, a point was mentioned and it was not discussed in detail. One of the participants, I think, mentioned that the underwriter will take the remaining. If it is undersubscribed, the underwriter will take it. It is understood. But one point came in that discussion that the underwriting of subscription will be in normally, when the underwriter takes it, normally it takes it at a discount. Sheikh Issam sir, yesterday we took some discussion on a new practice of issuance of Sukuk on discount as well. And I mentioned to Sheikh Usaid particularly one situation which he asked that we should be submitting to the Sharia board particularly. But here this issue comes again because we are saying that it should be based on unilateral binding promise and the purchase is at the offered value with no consideration for the undertaking taking into account. While the discussion on the market practice, as it came from one of the participants, I can't recall the name right now, but this came just when before start, if we can discuss this point very quickly, that reading of the standard means that the underwriter cannot do it at a discount. And according to the other standards that address that issue of underwriting, if I'm not mistaken, as per Sharia standard, just want a clarification, they can take a fee, ujratul misl, based on service, but not as a guarantee. Am I right, sir? Our understanding is correct, which means that if our understanding is correct, the standard will not allow the underwriter to purchase the Sukuk on a discounted price. Just want confirmation, sir. Just let me share this screen as well.
Yeah. I think you have said it briefly, very correctly, because underwriting is a form of guarantee, And in guarantees, we know the Sharia ruling, you can only be compensated for your actual out-of-pocket expenses. You cannot be remunerated for giving a guarantee. And underwriting is guaranteeing.
Thank you very much, sir. So then we move ahead to the next point, but before moving to the next point, I think there is a detailed comment that we have received, maybe two comments. Okay, first comment is by brother Zuhair Abdul Razak. Yesterday I asked about point 6.26. I think is it 6.26? Let me just go back to that one. I think numbering 626. It was in 62, not in 626, because there is no 626. I think it was point. Can you just reconfirm the point also, because there is no 626, which allows a third party other than the originator or representative. I think it is 62, not 626. Guarantee. Can you, brother Zuhair, can you just reconfirm the number? I think yesterday we stopped at 62.
Maybe he wants 622?
The guarantee. Yeah, I think it was 622, I think, the guarantee issue. Yesterday I opened the right, although connect. Just let me see. Not the guarantee. Yeah, third party guarantee. Third party guarantee. So it is 6.2. Can I just reconfirm from the document? Actually, let me have a look quickly. Yesterday we opened up that point, brother Zuhair, because the reference was still I couldn't find six. There was no 626. You were talking about the third party guarantee point.
The 622, brother Omar.
Sir, okay, sir. 622. Yeah. Yeah, third party guarantee. Yesterday, I passed which allows a third party other than the originator or its representative to bear the compensation for the loss of Sukuk capital or decrease in profits, or to purchase the underlying assets of the Sukuk for a specified amount. My question was, what would make a third party bear the loss of asset value or difference in profit? I felt there was some sort of manipulation in this point. You responded that government can take this on or take on this role. And I think brother Sheikh Hussain mentioned about one time, I think Jordan did it, as he mentioned, if I have correctly recalled. For a theoretical perspective, two key issues emerge. Government intervention in this case may contradict national assumption in financial theory. Financial markets typically operate under the assumption that the risk and returns are allocated based on market dynamics rather than government interference. Public funds belong to society, and using them in this manner may appear irrational and contain elements of injustice. Allocating government resources to cover losses in Sukuk structures could raise ethical and economic concerns. I think, Brother Zuhair, before I go to Mashayikh, I think governments, even in Muslim governments' time, the concept of Khatr Tariq and all that governments used to support, guarantee, like the security of the roads and all these things. I think some of the government intervention is always needed to support the industry. The government should not take the role of the industry, but government should do it. So that goes more as an economic and political theory debate, not as the Sharia debate. I would just request Sheikh Hassam and Sheikh Hussain if they want to comment on this point, because this, even if this might, we take your point as correct, that would be a political theory and economic theory issue, not a Sharia issue. But I think Sheikh Hassam, yesterday we discussed about this point, and I mentioned that standard is talking about not more than 50% of that third party may be owned, or it may own the entity. And we talked about that 50% might be too much. And we had a discussion that if possible, that should be limited to 33% on the analogy of Athulus Kasir, or 20% on the analogy of significant influence that we use in accounting and law. So, well, Sheikh Hassam, on the same point, if you have any view, please, before we move ahead.
Yeah, I think since you've discussed it yesterday, I don't want to say anything that will begin the discussion again. So if Sheikh Hussaid wants to say something, having been with you, please go ahead. Tafadhal, Sheikh Hussaid.
شكرا شيخنا. يعني what I said yesterday about the percentage of the ownership, said it can be presented to the Sharia board to be discussed again, because in standard number 56 ضمان مدير الاستثمار, it's talking about 50% of the ownership. So if the ownership is not more than 50%, then this party can be considered as the third party. So this can be discussed with the Sharia board, but because it is not relating to this standard, the Sukuk standard specifically or directly. About the guarantee acting as a third party guarantor, as clarified by Brother Omar, and what has been mentioned are understood. However, from Sharia perspective, if this is doable, then it is fine, subject to the terms and conditions stipulated in the standard. So, and I mentioned yesterday that there are many scholars believe that the third party guarantee is not practical. But it doesn't mean it is not allowed. It is allowed by Sharia, subject to, as I said, to certain conditions. If we can meet these conditions, then it can be applied. Otherwise, should not be applied, should be avoided. That's it.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we have comment from our dear brother Muhammad Abdul Razak. Brother Abdul Razak, Assalamu alaikum assalam. Quick question, section 6122A2 that are now I show on screen. It is mentioned that the reserve account, it is required to be an actual account to which accounting entries are carried out. Should we understand that the reserve account shall not be a book entry ledger account as currently done in Sukuk market? If actual account is required, then it may significantly add the administrative cost of issuing a Sukuk. Brother Abdul Razak, I think Mashayikh will clarify this point, but as I understand, it has to work on the similar mechanism like PER and IRR. On PER and IRR, AAOIFI has issued FAS 35 already, which clarifies how that need to be done. That is one point that I personally believe on the accounting side. With regard to whether when we say actual account, Sheikh Islam and Sheikh said, may I request you to make it more clear that here we are not talking about a banking account, we are talking about an accounting account, which means that you have to create a separate book entry to pass it separately. And I think not creating a separate banking account or investment account, just to confirm that. Or is it that then
Exactly, yeah.
So
Exactly,
although it
I
is
think.
saying that it is an actual account to which accounting entries are to be carried out, I'm just clarifying my understanding. So Brother Abdul Razak, let me re-ask your on your question to understand. So brother, if it is only an accounting account, like how we maintain PER and IRR, it does not increase the cost, although it reduces it impacts the profit distributions over a period of time. So which means that it is possible that if you put something in reserve for the time being, you will not be distributing that profit. So okay, in some situations, it means that if the Sukuk rate of return that is being paid on is like 7%, and you are keeping 2% reserve, so for the time being, the cost to you as an institution who is issuing or the company who is issuing, for temporarily that cost will be 9% till the time this reserve account is not closed and not reversed according to whatever the formula is. So are you talking about the cost that will increase because of putting that amount into a separate banking or investment account? Or you are talking about booking 9% instead of 7% and paying 7% and keeping 2% in reserve? Because my understanding is that some banks at times don't keep some institutions at times don't keep that 2% separate. They just pay 7%, like how it is done on the conventional side, and that 2% on the expectation that it will be reversed. It's not it's not kept separately. So just I want to understand, when you're talking about the additional cost element, is it the additional cost related to keeping that investment separately, or is it the additional cost of keeping that 2% as reserve? Okay. Okay, Brother Abdul Razak, so if you are talking about maintaining an actual banking account, which is not a requirement of Sharia, then you are okay with keeping 2% of extra reserve because that's his contractual requirement. Am I right? Okay, thank you very much. Allah bless you. So, Sheikh, now I think we are clear. Can we put in writing that an actual account in the general ledger and not necessarily a banking account, or we can put a footnote here just to clarify any confusion that other brothers may also be having while reading this one?
And I personally don't see an issue. Sheikh Hussein.
No issue, Sheikh.
So we can suggest to the Sharia board to just to consider clarifying it either in brackets or maybe in footnote, just to make sure that it is not like confused. Thank you very much. Brother Abdul Razak has raised a couple of more points. I think this one is done. The next point is section 632. Yes, 632 is about the provisions of purchase undertaking. And then on section...
Are you putting these sections on the screen? Because my
Sir,
screen,
can you see it? Okay, if it is not moving, let me put it again because yesterday even a couple of times it stopped sharing. I have brought on the same page. Can you see 632 now, sir?
It seems as it's loading for me. I don't
Okay.
know. Okay.
Okay. Just for other brothers, can you all see that that it is shown on it is moving? Because I have been doing it all the time, but yesterday even somebody complained, then we had to start sharing again. Can you see it all, 6.3 and 6.32 appearing on screen?
Not yet,
brother.
Sheikh. Not yet.
Okay. Okay, let me stop share again. Let me do it again. Just give me a second. Okay, and now I'm showing you the screen without making it PowerPoint show. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir. Let me just make the show now. I hope it works now. So the point is, sir, that the question by Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak is that, and then on section 632, could you please confirm if the provisions of purchase undertaking apply to all Sukuk structures or should only apply to Mudarba partnerships or agency Sukuk? I think Brother Sheikh Hussain can clarify that point more. I think if the standard is like not allowing purchase undertaking for some of the products for except for the normal value. But if you want to more clarify about which specific section you are talking about, because for the Sharika ones and for the other ones, it is clarifying separately. So can you make your question more specific? And when we go to the sections related to the individual type of sukuk, some of these issues about purchase undertaking or guarantee are there as well, if I'm not mistaken.
And Brother Umar, Article 632(1) is talking about this.
621. 621.
6321, yes.
6321. Yes. So, Brother Abdul Razak, if your question is okay, if your question is specifically about 6321, then it says that it is taking about shirka and guarantees. So if you see liability of the investment manager standard also applies on shirka, wakala, and mudarba. So technically, this one, that one is mainly about, if you see in the mudarba, it also permitted in the mudarba partnership investment agency. So all these things are more clarified here already in detail, and I think it has multiple sections. Can you make your question more clear? Because you are talking about not having purchase undertaking, or you are talking about the price of purchase undertaking? So, Brother Abdulrazak, your question, just a request if you clarify a bit more. Okay, then we have on this one, on purchase undertaking, we quickly received a question again from Brother Kabir Nasir. Hal hazal wad al-mulzim mabni ala ra'i al-malikiyya. Sheikh Hussain, Sheikh Hassan, would you like to answer that one, sir?
تفضل شيخ حسين.
شيخ تفضلوا كرمكم الله.
يعني in general in our
Sir, you can
standard.
answer this one in Arabic also, because the question is in Arabic. So you can answer in both languages. You can answer that one, sir, please.
يعني for the benefit of the brothers who may not be fluent in Arabic. يا أخ كبير يعني عادي نجيب الإنجليزي. عندك إشكال إذا الجواب بالإنجليزي؟ I think he understands English because he's joining this session, which is in English, right?
Okay, you can first answer in English for the benefit of everybody, sir. And then if he still wants an answer, he can put the question again, and then we'll answer in Arabic also.
Yes, in general, in our standards as a whole, not only in Sukuk standard, we have adopted the opinion, the Sharia board has adopted the opinion that the extent or the limit of the binding nature of undertakings is only to the extent that they do not result in what conflicts with Sharia. For example, if you undertake to buy a product at a specific price, you cannot actually fulfill the undertaking completely because that leads to future buying, future sales. So how do you reconcile this with Sharia? We say that if you do not fulfill your undertaking and your reneging on fulfilling your undertaking results in some actual loss to the other party, then you have to cover for that loss. But you are not made to fulfill your undertaking to the full extent of the text of the undertaking, because that will lead to an infraction of Sharia.
Sheikh, but his question was more specific about what is the view of Malikiya on that one.
Yeah, no, it's not this is based on the Malikiyas have the more wide opinion on undertakings. So yes, this is taken on the view of Malikiya, but to this extent, to the extent that it will not violate Sharia. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. There are a couple of questions which are a bit more like general, and some these were discussed yesterday. So I'll just continue on discussion towards section 8. Okay, Brother Mufti Khwaja Nurul Hassan has raised a question on continuity of Brother Zuhair's question. Brother, Assalamu alaikum. Referring the question of Brother Zuhair, normally the purchase undertaking includes the principal amount only, and in case the outstanding principal is not purchased, settled, depending on the facility structure, the profit amount will be taken on the outstanding amount. So it is also relevant. Brother Khwaja Nurul Hassan, just to understand, you are saying that the purchase undertaking, in case of imposition on default, you are talking about that it's not only on the principal amount, but also the profit and rent amount is taken as part of the purchase undertaking. I think this will. The first thing is there are different type of sukuk structure. So your question, I would like to further ask. You are talking about, for example, the participatory sukuk, which include mudarba, musharka, excluding diminishing musharka on sikatul milk, and wakala. So participatory sukuk purchase undertaking requirement, as I understand in this one, and the guarantee of the investment manager standard are different. While on the ijara and other products, it might be different. So I need to have a bit more clarity on your question, that what you are talking about. You are talking about, like, for example, ijara sukuk, that in case of ijara sukuk, the purchase undertaking includes the rent part. I think that makes a completely different situation, because ijara asset is owned by the owned by the lessor. So lessor like lessee can give even an increased price of purchasing the units or the asset. But I'm just talking that as a structure. While if we go for other structures, like particularly the participatory structures based on musharka, mudarba, and wakala bil istismar, this is standard as well as the guarantee of investment account standard deal that one separately. So I would like to have more clear question. So you are talking about the diminishing musharka based on shirkatul milk, and in this one, so Sheikh Hussain and Sheikh Isam, just to clarify this part, he's particularly referring to the diminishing musharka structure, that is gradual transfer ijara structure, in which he's saying that in that one, the undertaking includes not only the principal amount, but also the rent and maybe other cost amount. So does this standard address that thing specifically or is silent? And what is your view according to the standard on current position?
As we said earlier, if there is a loss to the other party due to your not fulfilling your undertaking, you only are going to be made to cover that loss. That's it.
Sheikh, in case of diminishing musharka with ijara or the gradual transfer ijara, you do not purchase like the units on like at the mid of the tenure. You got a situation where the lessee is no more purchasing the units and no more paying the rent. Now, if the purchase undertaking includes, in that case of default, the purchase undertaking says that the purchase price of the ijara asset will be per original cost price plus rent amount plus maybe insurance and other cost, and that is all included in the purchase undertaking. This is an opportunity cost, sir, but that opportunity cost is different from the opportunity cost situation in case of participatory sukuk, where you have like musharaka, mudarba, or wakala. Here you are talking about sale of asset. So technically the purchase undertaking is on sale of asset. So this is how this purchase undertaking situation becomes different. I think that the main crux of the paras that we are discussing right now is on the mudarba and mudarba, musharka, and investment agency, where you cannot even recover like the full amount of capital. So this will be different, sir. The question is how the standard addresses this issue and whether this will be completely disallowed, although it's technically a sale of asset. So for sale of asset, you can have a purchase undertaking at a price mutually agreed.
واضحة المسألة أبو أديب؟
يعني ليست كثيرا بس I will try شيخنا. يعني the issue is that is it acceptable or allowed in the purchase undertaking to pre-agree on the exercise price or not, regardless of the amount of the pre-agreed price or exercise price. So as you, Brother Umar, rightly said, in the musharaka, sharikat al-aqd, I mean, in the wakala bil-istithmar, in the mudaraba, this is not allowed. And this is clearly mentioned in the standard. However, in the ijara, it is allowed, and it is mentioned. This is mentioned in the standard. And in case of sharikat al-milk, it is allowed as well. And these both mentioned in the standard.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So, Brother Mufti Khwaja Nurul Hassan and Brother Zuhair, I think your points are now clear. If you still have any question on this part, please mention. Otherwise, we can move ahead. We have a couple of more questions coming, like, on those are a bit general, so I'm not taking honestly, because we'll see if we can take, because Dr. Muhammad Razar Hussain has 2 points about how to secure investment, specifically willful defaulter. And I think we discussed these things already, so I'm not addressing those questions. I think Brother Khwaja Nur Hassan, you have a couple of more points, but as a whole, Sheikh Hussain has clarified the real situation. So I think we can move ahead. So I think Brother Abdul Razak, I think your point is also clear But if you have any further query on this one to further clarify, please feel free on that part. But now we have covered till section 7, and now we move to section 8. Just to confirm, can you all see the screen moving, or still it's having the problem?
Six, three, two, one.
It's not moving, Brother Umar.
Okay. I don't know why it's happening to like this today. Okay. Can you see it now? 8.1. No, I think it's not yet shared. I'm just trying to move without making a PowerPoint show. I think this will at least be better. Can you see it now? 8.1.1.
Well,
Okay. And can you see the screen moving now?
yes. Now, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So let's move with this one. This option, hopefully it will work. So now we have section 8, and again, section 8 is quite detailed section about different type of sukuk, their structure, and what we have more specific about it. So I'll just go by subsections. So first 8.1. Sukuk given the contract on which their structure is based are two types, plain vanilla and composite. So we go for plain vanilla sukuk first. So these are the basic common sukuk. About composite, I think brother Yusuf Azim Siddiqui, I think he has joined today as well. Brother Yusuf, I think we need to keep a point about consistent application, what we mean by composite, or we want to use hybrid as a translation. So this is again one question that we'll have to discuss later in the translation committee. But I think this was a comment earlier received as well, and it was part of my own notings as well. Sir, if we have now the 8.1.1, that is about plain vanilla common sukuk, which include commutative contract sukuk and the basic types of that. So now the question is on 8.1.1, or let me go one by one about mudarba sukuk. So the question is, do we have any comment or generally on the commutative sukuk or mudarba sukuk? Do we have any question coming on that? Let me just see. Okay. Brother Anwar, I hope you can see this one because I have to do it, otherwise it was not moving. So I just increased the screen size, but I have to do it like this. Okay, so there is no comment on 8.1.1, 8.1 and 8.1.1. So we have Salam Sukuk. Any comments on the Salam Sukuk? Sheikh Hassan, when we did the Pakistan public hearing together, actually we before the lunch break, we had discussion mainly on till point number 6 and 7. After the lunch break, people start sleeping and become a bit slow. So there were not too many comments coming on point number 8 onwards. So actually, I asked everybody that did everybody read like me only the first 40 pages? So it looks today also as well that it's such a long standard that maybe we will not be having enough questions on 8 onwards. So okay, Brother Mufti Khwaja Nur Hassan at least is the one who read it. 8.1, cosmetic change and clarity. Have you written the terms in bold brackets? Any reason? Bold brackets, the one you are talking about 8.1. Which terms, brother? Certificate holders, or which term you are talking about, brother? Sorry, you are talking about 8.1. Brother Khajan Wilson, can you clarify that word? Certificate holder term. Okay, we'll see that. we'll see that. Okay, what is the consistent application? We'll see that. Thank you. Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak has a point on 8111D67. Sheikh Usaid and Sheikh Isam, is it a possibility that Sharia board may kindly consider the numbering scheme of the standards? As you both review our accounting and governance standards as well. If you see, we just go to the para numbering scheme and we manage by level 1, level 2, level 3 headings on that side. This is the para numbering scheme is now practice of majority of the international standard setters, and this numbering scheme, particularly for this standard, because it's very detailed, this numbering scheme has made things nearly impossible to find. So this is just another request to Sharia board to consider if they feel that if it is a possibility to change the numbering scheme and bring it together with the global best practices on numbering schemes for standards. This is 111D67. So I'll have to jump to all these 6, 7. Okay. So at least our brother Zuhair Abdul Razak has read it in detail. I hope so. He's talking about Sukuk on sale and lease, acquiring and leasing a specified unidentified asset. That is Ijara Mausufa Bizimma. That translation of Ijara Mausufa Bizimma also we need to find out, sir, whether it is the best translation or we need to find a better translation, or we simply use Ijara Mausufa Bizimma as a term in English as well, because specified identified asset might be a confusing term. Anyway, the question by brother Zuhair Abdul Razak is, Sukuk is a financial instrument traded in the market, and its holders often do not have insight into the securitization detail. In case of Ijara for an asset described in liability, they bear the responsibility for compliance despite their inability to supervise, which creates an unavoidable uncertainty. As I understand, Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak, AAOIFI Sharia board has also initially developed a Sharia standard on Ijara Mausufa Bizimma, and that exposure draft is subject to the drafting committee review at this point of time. Sheikh Usaid and Sheikh Isam, sir, do you feel any concerns that raised by Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak are valid, and are these addressed in this standard or the upcoming Ijara Mausufa Bizimma standard, sir?
The issue was the name, يعني موصوفة بالذمة name.
No, that is one point that I personally raised. But the point that is raised by Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak, let me read it. He says, Sukuk is a financial instrument traded in market, and its holder often do not have... Yes.
Brother Umar, if you don't mind, if you go to the article mentioned by Brother Abdul Razak, put it on the screen.
It is on the screen, sir.
It is,
8111. Okay. 8111D67. This is exactly the same. Can you see on the screen, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So his point is that since Sukuk is a financial instrument traded in market and holders do not have insight into the securitization detail, in case of Ijara for Ijara Mausufa Bizimma, they bear the responsibility for compliance despite their inability to supervise, which creates an unavoidable uncertainty. So the question is that they are the lessor. Technically, the Sukuk holders are lessor, and obviously they have appointed an agent. The agent will acquire and complete the asset, and then that asset will be leased out. And this is where the issue comes, that in view of our brother Zuhair Abdul Razak, there is significant inability to have appropriate knowledge about this thing and to supervise this activity while they have the liability element. So the point is that they have the liability to make the asset available. And if the agent does not perform, they cannot supervise. They are not having a company or something. They are not having routine meetings, or they don't have their own directors appointed to supervise the process. They are only dependent on the agent. And if the agent is unable to deliver, then they remain and retain the liability of delivering the asset. And if the asset is not delivered, there will be no income justifiable at all. Sheikh, at the same time, if Brother Zuhair has raised this point, the issue of accounting of this also comes up. Because the point is that till the time asset is not ready and not transferred, can we recognize any rental as income? Obviously, we can obtain rental, but we cannot recognize it as income, because in case our responsibility and liability for delivering the asset is not completed, then this will not be possible. So the question that Brother Zuhair has raised, I have added another angle to that question, which makes, like, me think personally that that a sukuk based on ijara mawsufa bizimma might be practically impossible. So let's take an example, sir. ABC company issued sukuk for ijara mawsufa bizimma. There is an asset, maybe power plant, that need to be like acquired and then installed and then make available to this company. Now they made they issued the sukuk, and the sukuk holders now have a responsibility through an agent to acquire the plant, install it, and make it available to the to ABC company. Now
Yeah,
ABC company starts paying rentals, sir.
Brother Omar, I think, of course, there are يعني there are some issues, even controversy about موصوفة بالذمة regarding real estate. So there is a debate amongst scholars in this. But the issue is now, this is usually handled by once once the asset is ready and functioning, then this إجارة موصوفة بالذمة contract is by mutual agreement changed to إجارة معينة.
Agreed. So, sir, at this time,
in order to
yeah.
avoid future difficulties and risks for both parties.
That is correct. But till the time, for example, so if it takes 6 months, 1 year, 6 months, or maybe more than that time to make it like, muayyan asset. Till the time it is not muayyan asset, on one side, income recognition would be an issue. And on the other side, the sukuk holders will be significantly dependent only on the agent who is going to complete this task, the acquisition and installation, completion, making it available. Like, so in this situation, sir,
يعني this happens even in shareholding companies. يعني the individual shareholder,
yeah.
what control does he have? Although he's the owner.
No, but he has the right through the directors. So directors are his agents appointed to do it. So technically, those agents somehow, at least he can have some control. He has a voting right. And secondly, when you invest in a share of a company, sir, the mindset of investment is different from the mindset of investment when you invest in sukuk. Again, I'm not talking about purely talking the mindset of conventional bondholder, but still sukuk holder invest with a expectation of fixed returns with low risk. I'm not saying that fixed or virtually fixed, but no, I'm not saying it's not, for sure, we are clear it's not like bond. But what is the difference between shares and sukuk? The difference is shares is a pure equity investment, while sukuk is an investment in a project in a way that it provides you a comparatively less risk and more like, virtually fixed sort of returns. So again, I think we can stop debate here. We can move ahead, sir. But the point that has been raised by him, the question is, would it make ijara mawsufa bizimma based sukuk impossible, or should there be some more controls that need to be some more conditions that need to be built in to avoid that type of uncertainty that is there?
Personally, I would say you should leave this to the investors, and this is on a case-by-case situation, depending on the investment itself.
Okay,
Because there is proper disclosure, and the Sukuk holders as investors, they know the risks. Everything is disclosed to them. There's nothing hidden. There should be يعني, at least a minimum level of transparency, at least that satisfies the regulators, and the regulators in the end, they are in charge of overlooking the interests of the ordinary simple investor.
Okay, Sheikh. Let's just go quickly to my question on that part. That is added question about the income recognition. As of now, our FAS 32 does not address Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma in detail, but it discusses future Ijara. And it clarifies that future Ijara, any future Ijara, that will be income recognition for that is not possible till the time asset is not made available, and since from that point onwards you can recognize the revenue. So the question is, like Salam also, our standard require, or Salam does not allow you to recognize revenue on Salam till the time asset is not available and then not sold in the market to make the profit. So considering these two situations, the question of revenue recognition on Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma Sukuk will come in, sir. So if I issue that Sukuk, for me it will be like cost element, but for the Sukuk holders, would it be a legitimate income, and would it be tradable till the time the asset physically is not available? Then what about the tangibility requirement till the time the asset is not physically available?
And you're talking about the initial period of the issuing of the Sukuk?
Sir, today we issued Sukuk, but the asset which is in liability, that asset is not available till 1 year, for example.
I think
1 year tradability and 1 year recognition of income. These are two questions which come from the accounting side. So is it a tradable Sukuk because the asset is now not in tangible form?
شيخ أسيد، ما في بند، احنا ناقشنا هالمسألة، ما في بند يشير إلى هالقضية، إن يعني قبل لا تتحول شو اسمه.
موجود شيخ بوضوح.
ايه موجود، نعم. تفضل قول له شيخ.
يعني Brother Umar, regarding the tradability, we have many articles are addressing the issue. And if the assets of the Ijara are not there, then there is no income. However, one of the mitigants mentioned in the standard is to get financing, arrange financing by the servicing agent in favor of the Sukuk holders. So the servicing agent may arrange a financing, or itself, if it is a bank, itself may provide a financing, or provide or give a loan without any obligation, subject to its sole discretion, may provide a loan to the Sukuk holders.
Account payment. On account payments of profit.
Payment, to maintain the periodic
average
profit.
Return, to maintain the average return. On account payment
yes.
or ad hoc payment, sir, is understood. On account payment or ad hoc payment is understood. The point is, it does not become income. It remains a cash flow, but it does not become income.
Sorry, but we should understand that the risk depends on the types, or depends on the structure we use for issuing Sukuk. And the risk, if we do a Murabaha Sukuk, the risk is not similar to the risk if we do identified Ijara Sukuk, or Ijara Mawsufa fi Dhimma Sukuk, or Musharaka Sukuk, Mudaraba Sukuk. So this should be understood, and we should act according to this the type of the structure that we are going to use for issuing the Sukuk. But as I understood from the comment of Brother Abdul Razzaq, he is focusing on the responsibility of the Sukuk holders. He is saying they bear the responsibility for compliance
For delivering the asset.
their
Delivering the
inability
asset.
to supervise, which creates an unavoidable uncertainty. No, there is, as you said, there is an agent is representing the sukuk holders, and the agent is supposed to do these things. If there is a misconduct, negligence, breach of the contract by the servicing by the agent, then the agent will be held responsible, and the agent should compensate the sukuk holders.
I think, Sheikh, I think this is understood.
Otherwise, we
Thank you
cannot
very
make
Yeah,
100,000 of the sukuk holders
exactly.
acting together and supervising the assets. It's not practical. They should have some party or a bank or an entity representing them and taking care of their interest.
Thank you very much, sir. So this point becomes clear. I just want like to have my one minor question. I know tangibility issue is addressed at multiple places, but again, this is a very long standard. Recalling every paragraph for us is not easy. You are the best expert on that. About Ijara Mausufa Bizimma, is the tangibility clear about this point particularly? The principle of tangibility and those things are there. But what about that Ijara Mausufa Bizimma asset till the time asset is not delivered will not be considered as a tangible asset? That question still is there. Secondly, a part question of this one, Sheikh. For example, the asset is now half tangible. Like, although it's not in working condition, so maybe the rental may not be justified. But like, for example, it was a power plant to be imported and installed. So, for example, the power plant is imported and it is in the phase of installation. So technically, the parts and components of that power plant are available. So the tangibility issue of Ijara Mausufa Bizimma might be more complicated as compared to any other product, because here we may have a situation where there is part tangibility available, and since sukuk holders own even that part of the components that are imported, those are also technically owned by sukuk holders. So maybe once you have maybe 50% or 33% or 50% of the asset physically available, irrespective of its working condition, but physically available, maybe the tangibility may be allowed. So that might not require a very specific paragraph about tangibility of Ijara Mausufa Bizimma Sukuk. What do you think, Sheikh?
If you go to Article 929.
929, sir. Nine two nine.
صفحة كم بالعربي؟
Yeah.
عندي البايلينجوال شيخنا.
So trading the sukuk based on acquiring and leasing is specified, identified as not permitted if the ownership was limited to the assets before taking its delivery, or the asset they have taken its delivery was sold via sale contract or specific identified asset, unless by complying the provision of disposing of debt or provision of currency exchange, as the case may be. So this one is addressing this issue specifically, sir. Whole or most. When we say whole or most, means 50% plus? Whole, most means 50% plus, sir? So do you apply 33% here or 50% here? Whole or significant or whole of or most? I think significant would be 33 plus and most would be 50 plus. So you want to stick to most, that is 50% plus?
Where is most, Brother Omar?
9291. Received whole
one.
or
Okay,
most.
okay. Let me read.
So most will make it 50% plus, which aligns with the sale of
Yes,
debt standards primary
more than
requirement.
50%, yeah.
Okay, shall we clarify that most means, because for me, for a standard reader like us who understand these things, for me, most is 50% plus. So, but would it be appropriate if we clarify that thing, 50% plus? Because then it will align exactly with what is the requirement of the then standard.
Yeah, we can. Why not? Let us propose this.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. And unfortunately, I had not read this article in detail. Maybe I missed out that point, but it is excellent. I think it addresses the issue that was
Yeah.
raised by me
And
as well.
and and 99292, it
Yes.
is talking about the percentage here.
Oh, less than half. It's less than half.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, if you put the comment, then the Sharia board will look at it, inshallah.
Excellent, excellent, sir. Thank you very much again. Okay, now we have a couple of questions come up here. 815D52. 81 811 D52 811 D52. No,
No,
8111.
no, cannot, cannot be.
8111. Yeah, 8111. It's 8111 D52. Okay, this is the section. Now,
So
can
you're
you see
going,
it?
you're
8111
going back.
D52.
You're going back because we were at D67, right?
Yeah, the question and the new question by Brother Anwar is on 8111 D52. And this is comment by Brother Anwar Misbah Subra. Purchase leaseback is a cash transaction that has no economic value added and defeats the purpose of Sukuk to provide liquidity to generate economic activity. I think, Brother Anwar, I think your comment is not very clear to us. So what do you want? You want this to be prohibited, or you feel that there is a Sharia justification for making it prohibited? Sheikh, here I have one question, and if you recall, it was discussed in the Pakistan public hearing as well. And I think Sheikh Taqi Usmani was available at that time as well. It was about purchase and lease back. Our Sharia standard, old Sharia standard, I don't know what has been written in the new Ijara standard, but old Sharia standard mentioned a significant period of time. That significant period of time was interpreted by Sheikh Taqi himself normally as 1 year. And that was his fatwa for most of the situations that we have in Pakistan. That was based on 4 seasons having passed. I recall that was a discussion, and probably that 1 year condition was not there in the standard. We couldn't find that. If we refer back to the Ijara standard, the current Ijara standard says a significant period. It does not make a condition of 1 year. Even the repo standard, the reverse purchase or option standard, doesn't mention 1 year. The problem is that fatwa in some markets is available based on 1 year, but if there is no specification by AOFI, then that significant period can be anything. We observed this thing in Pakistan more recently, that 1 year situation was breached by bringing its 364 days. Now, 364 seasons means 365.25 days means 4 seasons. So it should be 366 days, not the whole of the lunar calendar, but of the solar calendar, because 4 seasons complete as a whole on 365.525 days. Now the question is that people started bringing it shorter, and I know in some markets sale and lease back up to 6 months is available. The question is there a possibility, and this is based on comment that we had discussed in Pakistan public hearing as well, that what would be what would be outcome of the Ijara standard if that one is addressing that issue, or this one is also is addressing, because significant period becomes too much judgmental. People will come even to 1 month and they say, okay, 1 month changes the value. So the question is, I'm just adding to Brother Anwar's point that Brother Anwar's point, is just about cash transaction. But even that cash transaction may be considered like Baina if significant time is not there. So is there any view of the Sharia board on the definition of time?
And yeah, I think the Sharia board has usually gone with the 1 year, but it's 1 year is a rule of thumb. It's not
It's not
something.
written, sir. It's not written in the Sharia standard as at
Yeah,
least currently at this standard or
yes.
Ijara standard.
Yeah, as I said, it's a rule of thumb. It's not the hard and fast, black and white thing. The black and white thing should be a significant period. It must be significant. So significant can never, under
For
no
me, for 3
circumstance.
years. Significant period
Sorry?
for me, maybe 3 years. But the point is that people are
But
considering 3 months as significant. That is the problem. People are planning. Sir, what is happening that people are moving to short-term sukuk, particularly for sovereign sukuk, but short-term sukuk, they are planning a replacement of, the short-term commercial papers. They are planning to replace the short-term T-bills and short-term commercial papers with sale and leaseback sukuk, making it, to be honest, something very similar to Baina, because that
yeah,
1 year is not defined.
you know that the Islamic Fiqh Academy has ruled that this is Bay'ina. This is not allowed because it's just like Aina. So when the Sharia board puts this sort of control clause of significant in order to make it different from Aina in substance as well as in appearance, then the Sharia boards who are in charge of whatever investment is presented to them, they should take this into consideration, because in the end, you have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not, we're not, engaging in textual gymnastics. Yani.
So do you think that we should be proposing as a discussion point to the Sharia board before finalizing of the standard to consider putting some at least guidance, significant time, as you mentioned that a significant time is the Sharia requirement, but how to determine that Sharia significant time, passing of howl or other arguments that are there. Would it be appropriate here? And particularly a question to you and Sheikh Hussain also about the new Ijara standard, because the same issue applies there as well.
And as Sheikh Hassan said, significant and how we interpret or apply this, this will be the responsibility of the Sharia board, because when we determine the period, we should take into consideration the market we are in and the type of the items. For example, in the repurchase standard, this has been discussed. Repurchase can be executed on real estate or on, for example, shares. In the stock market, maybe few days are enough to have significant change in the price. But in the real estate, we may need more time. Some
Sir,
markets, for the real estate, few months, 2, 3, maybe 6 months are enough to have a significant change in the price. Some other markets, maybe you need years, 2 years, 3 years or more. So therefore, the standard has not specified the minimum period required. However, if you want to discuss this issue again, it can be discussed, can be presented. Why not?
Sheikh, just to clarify one point of my understanding for the benefit of the participants here, for me, that condition of significant time has passed. I think that has two things. One is about change in its price and also about change in its condition. And I think that was the reason, that change in condition was the reason of putting most scholars as putting as 1 year, because 1 year is expected, 4 seasons are expected to have passed to change its condition. So am I right about it? That's my understanding, that both
Yeah,
things were there,
condition.
price
Yeah,
plus condition.
yeah, not both, either condition or price.
Either condition or price. So, okay, if for in case of shares, we can well understand that the price is more relevant. But when it comes to assets that are sold and leased back, in that situation, it is more about conditions, sir, less about price. So, and condition thing again goes for the Four Seasons or maybe those arguments. I'm just trying to understand the point very clearly because again, as you said, that we'll suggest it as a discussion point.
Yeah. For the condition, I have an example in mind respect of the real estate. For example, if we buy a land from someone and we agree to do forward lease on the building, which will include the land plus the construction. So this is a significant change when we do the building. So this is sort of
But if it does not
change
happen, sir,
in the condition.
okay, sir, if I do it only on on a building, I sold the building or a plant and I sold that and I purchased it back without additional changes. Like you are taking an example where on
Condition.
land
In
there was
condition, you
work done.
mean? In
Yeah.
condition, you mean?
In condition, no change. Like it
So
remains the
here,
same. So
yeah,
except for depreciation, except
صحيح.
for normal wear and tear. So
So
that
here,
yes, sir, please.
so brother, here we should rely on the price, not on the value, not on the condition. The condition will not be changed in maybe 2, 3, 4 years. But so what will change is the price. So we should consider the value or the price, the change in the price or in the value of the property.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So we just make note of all these points and we'll just forward this thing because it's a practical issue. And eventually we are afraid that then sale and lease back issue, they are coming short as 6 months now in some markets. And soon you will see 1 month sale and lease back sukuks.
And Sheikh Isam said, as per the Fiqh Academy, this structure or this mechanism is not acceptable. Regardless, we consider 1 year or 2 years to have a change in the value or not. It is prohibited. It is bai'ina. But
Sir, I did not want to
the
open the Fiqh Academy issue. I wanted to remain
so
within the
yeah,
Sharia standard. But Brother
yeah.
Anwar has said the same thing.
Yeah, the
Brother
Sharia
Anwar.
standard, yeah, the Sharia standards, they try to be little bit practical, but at the same time, they put conditions to maintain the Sharia compliance of the structure.
Okay, sir. So next, we move to the next point, again by Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak by 811B47. 811B47. B47. This is Ijara Sukuk, acquiring and selling or leasing the moral rights. Now, the translation of the moral rights, I think this is also a term that Brother Yusuf Ajim Siddiqui, I think I made note in my own notes. For me, it was was it Hukuk al Mujarrada or what? But anyway, moral rights might not be the best translation, so we might need to find a better wording for this one, sir. But just let's go back. This is comment is by Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak. Would it be possible to elaborate a bit more on the definition of moral rights? Does it include intellectual property? I think we do not have a definition of this one here, but the question is, Sheikh Hussain and Sheikh Hassam, if you feel this point is valid for about clarifying a little bit more, then we can just and I think my translation was I'll just come back to that one, because I have made my own noting on this one, 81147. Okay. My suggestion was that we need to use either the intangible asset term or we write to intangible assets. Again, we can hukuk manaviya. But anyway, we need to find better term here. But the question for Brother Abdul Razak is about defining it better and what is included in that.
Yeah, Brother Ahmad, just one point. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Brother
The
Yusuf.
Arabic word is hukuk ma'nawiya,
Manaviya.
and it was translated in the official translation of UAE civil transactions law as moral rights. And although it sounds very unfamiliar, but when we have revised the comments from all the previous sessions as well, so we have done it as intellectual rights because that's more.
Intellectual rights, intellectual property rights. I think not intellectual property rights.
Yeah, because the in the moral rights, there are some rights which are non-commercial as well, because you have maybe you hold some
Exactly. Good point. Good point. Very good point,
rights
Brother Yusuf.
which cannot
So
be sold. So the
intellectual property rights would
mashayikh,
be a
when they are
more.
referring.
Yes, please
Correct.
complete. Sorry.
Yeah, because mashayikh, when they are referring to huquq al-manawiya, they're not referring to the ones which are non-commercial in their nature.
Yeah.
So we have made the correction, and when we raised the initial report to the Sharia board and to Brother Abdul Rahman, so we made it as intellectual rights.
Okay, just to confirm my understanding, Brother Yusuf Azim and Mashayikh, I think Sheikh Taqi, when he has used in his, some research papers, he has used hukuk mujarrada in the meaning that these rights are excluded from any other tangible asset. So if right is attached to a tangible asset, then it is not covered in this one. But if the right is primarily intangible in nature, not attached to any this one, then he has used the term hukuk mujarrada for that. If I remember correctly, he has used that term. I'm just want to clarify that. Just want to clarify one part here for my understanding that these rights are where no tangible asset is attached. So it is just to clarify that part. Or can these be attached with the tangible asset as well?
I think Mashayikh will be the right one to answer that. But the Sheikh Taqi's, Hafdallah's paper is about Huquq Mujarrada, which even includes Huquq Ma'nawiya as well. Because Sheikh is talking about Haqq al-Sharb, and there are a lot
Yeah.
of things which he is talking, Sheikh.
Yeah.
And the Ma'yar is not talking about selling your passage right and your, it's only talking about selling intellectual rights. That's
Okay,
why
so
he has.
intellectual rights or intellectual property rights it
Yes.
might be better term. Intellectual property rights or actually it will be intellectual rights or intellectual property. We don't need to see intellectual property rights. Either we say intellectual property or we say intellectual rights. I think
Right.
intellectual property rights is not needed. So
Right.
either of the intellectual property or intellectual right, we may suggest to the translation committee. Thank you very much, Brother Yusuf, for this clarification. Now the question to Mashayikh, again, I go back to Brother Abdul Razak's question. Can we clarify it a bit more? What is included here? Like, a definition or maybe a footnote of putting some examples of what we are talking here now.
Yeah. تفضل شيخ.
So, for
Sheikh,
example,
مثلا
if
في
somebody
النوم
asks,
يعني
can a software be included in this one or not? Can a write
brother,
to a book can be included or not? So I'm just putting that
yeah.
those questions that can come in people's mind. Can we clarify that?
And Brother Umar, and usually we should add to the, as we have in the previous standards, we should have a section for definitions, end of the standard. So all of this will be defined, inshallah,
Okay.
in
Thank
that
you very
section.
much. Thank you very much. So in that situation, I think it is also important that we can request all the participants here and all that if they can identify any term that they feel that a definition is needed, please feel free to put it in the chat and question and answer box here. or you can send these to the email address, official email address for these comments, sharia@ufi.com, because that will make sure that anything that you feel is confusing and need definition, at least Sharia board can consider them for the purpose of putting definition. Thank you very much, sir. Next point is by brother Khaja Nurul Hassan again, just for clarity. Okay, okay, no, sorry. Brother Khaja Nurul has a point. Just for clarity, Ijara Moyen will be done. What will be the options after it start as repair, unable to provide specification wise assets is also mentioned. Brother Khaja Nurul, can you just clarify it with the paragraph number and send this as a comment, because this will be this is something that Sharia board can consider directly whether this wording will improve the language. Thank you very much, because right now we have moved to the next points. Brother Osama Wakil has a point. So this kind of sukuk should only be offered to qualified investors only as normal investor. I think Brother Osama Wakil's point is with regard to Ijara Mawsufa bi Zimma sukuk that we were discussing. So he's talking about only to be offered to qualified investors, as normal investors didn't go in such detail. Underlying income variability risk and liquidity risk is there. I think Brother Osama Wakil, this is understood, but to whom it may be allowed and not, it would be more of a governance and regulatory issue and not a Sharia issue. So I doubt that we can put it in this standard. But still, your comment, we have taken note of it. Brother Hani Abdulaziz, for Ijara Mawsufa Sukuk, from a tangibility perspective, there could be a land included that could be worth more than 50% of the issuance size. Okay, this is a very specific situation that you have mentioned, so it can be considered by the respective boards. I doubt I think that after discussing what Sheikh Hussain identified in the paragraph section 9, the further guidance might not be necessary. We have a point from Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak, section 8111C8. Just after this one, C8. C is on the commutative general provisions of the commutative contract as 8. Okay, it is not permitted for the originator to reschedule the sukuk debt by issuing new commutative contract sukuk with the existing certificate holders to pay off the existing certificates and accordingly cancel them, so that the new issuance will result in a larger debt owed by the originator with due compliance with Sharia standard on sale of debt. It is not, so his word, so he is talking about this one. And the proposed clause is restrictive, as the originator and the certificate holder may have wished to agree for an increase in the amount advanced to the originator as part of the restructuring, possibly with more flexible payment terms. It would give enough flexibility in terms of restructuring options. So the point is, Brother Abdul Razak, I just, before I go to Mashayikh to ask the question, I just want to clarify one part. This 8111C8 applies to debt-based sukuk only, because it is using the term reschedule the sukuk debt. So if it is a debt sukuk, or a debt which is part of sukuk, it is referring to sale of debt standard, and sale of debt standard has already talked about this thing automatically not being done. But the question is, when we have this sale of debt standard, which allows that to create another transaction of debt with a gap of at least 1 day. So the question is, if we comply with that requirement of that 1 day debt, 1 day gap and then a new transaction. So Sheikh, the question is, Sheikh Hussain and Sheikh Assam sir, that this apparently looks like that no rescheduling is allowed at all. But if they apply, and as Brother Abdul Razak said, that some flexibility for rescheduling need to be there in case of need. So if they apply the requirement of sale of debt for 1 day gap and creating a new debt, would it be possible?
That is in fulfillment of 59.
That is fulfillment of 59, sir. But this clause apparently does not allow you to reschedule it at all.
No. No, it says C59. C clause 413, 59.
No, Sir, okay. So my point is, sir, that okay, this is the writing style of the standard. The standard, this clause says that this is not allowed. When it says C, it means that you need to see the sale of that condition, etc. from that standard, but it does not say that exception can be
no,
created out of 59
no,
here.
no, it's saying you cannot sell that's restructured, that's as done conventionally. But if you have debt in currency and you are buying it or selling it in commodities, that's not conventional. You're giving a commodity and the other party will.
Sheikh, my point is, okay, whatever is allowed by 59, we can understand that. But the point is that the way this clause is written, it does not create exception. It says it's not permitted. If it says see that those paragraphs, but if you say in addition that except for the situation where you comply with 59,
it's not saying it's not permitted. You should complete the sentence.
it is not permitted for the originator to reschedule the Sukuk debt by issuing new commutative contract Sukuk.
By issuing new commutative contract Sukuk. That way of rescheduling is not permitted. It's not saying it's not permitted, period, full stop. Just as we don't say sale of debts is not permitted, full stop. No, we say sale of debt. If you mean by sale of debt was done in the conventional market, yes, that's not permitted. If you're prepared to do it, yes.
Sheikh, let me try to put it another way. The wording of the Sukuk says that it is not permitted to schedule by debt to debt. It is not saying unless you comply with the requirement of SS 59 with regard to creating a new debt after giving a gap.
No, it's saying because usually if you do it with new commutative contract Sukuk, it will lead to actually a larger debt owed by the originator, right? Which is what is done in revolving, so quote unquote murabahas. If the debtor party is not allowed to retain the proceeds of the sale of the new murabaha, and then by his or her own will and decision, they use these proceeds to pay off the original murabaha.
Sheikh, what you said after if is not appearing in this clause.
No, it's saying so that the new issuance will result in a larger debt owed by the originator. You are not allowed to reschedule if by other commutative contract Sukuk if it leads to a larger debt.
Sheikh, as far as I am personally concerned, I would be more happy with this one if it is not allowed. My main issue was only that 59 allows it with a one day gap. That is the point. Other than that, I am personally more happy, but our brother Abdul Razak is not happy on this one.
It will conflict with 59 if you say it's not allowed. If you just say rescheduling, that's quote unquote, because it's not real rescheduling. If rescheduling of the debt is not allowed, then that will conflict with 59.
Brother Omar, end of the article, it says with the due compliance with 413 of Sharia standard number 59.
That is correct, Sheikh. That is correct. That is not saying that any exception should be in due compliance with this one. It is saying it's not permitted, and then we say with due compliance. But it is not saying that any exception to this would be in compliance with only 59. So if or exception is not appearing, sir. It's only saying with due compliance of this one. But the point is because the 59 says a debt may be rescheduled according to this mechanism that you first cancel, create a new one, give at least 1 day gap, and then you can settle the first one. Now, if this clause, if I read like this way, this clause does not allow that treatment which is allowed by that one, because it says with due compliance with this one. So compliance with this is there, but the main terminology used here is not permitted. Exception or if, what Sheikh Isam explained after if is not appearing in this clause the way it is written.
Okay, maybe it should be reworded. Maybe it should be reworded.
Brother
It is not.
Umar, Sheikhna,
Tafadhal.
because even what we have here, it is there in the standard 59. Standard 59 in Article 4133, it states, I have the Arabic version, I don't have the English one with me. It is prohibited whatever will lead to increase the debt, the amount of debt, and increasing the maturity day of that debt is not allowed, is prohibited. Whatever we do is not allowed. This is the principle. Then in another article, what you have mentioned is mentioned. So here, in this standard, this is the principle. The principle here, Brother Umar, here we are dealing with the most sensitive issue in riba. And
I
we
agree,
can
sir.
say the most prohibited type of riba, which is riba al-jahiliyyah. Defer the maturity date and increase the amount of debt, which is the rescheduling in conventional banking. So this is, in principle, not allowed.
Sir, if you ask me, my view is 100% here, same. I'm just trying to address brother Abdurazak's point. Because for me, I'm perfectly all right with this one. For me, that relaxation can result in Hila and everything. So even I'm not in favor of that relaxation personally. But this is not about my personal view. It's about the view of brother Abdurazak coming up. And probably we can see that a flexibility is there in 59, which is not here. That is the point only. That is just alignment with 59 and addressing Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak's issue. Other than that, honestly, personally, I'm in view that it should never be done like that, because this is just a hila to do that.
Anyway, if it is a wording issue, can be proposed to be revisited.
Yeah, because
And the
again,
Sharia
Brother
board will
Abdul Razak
decide.
raised a valid point. We just need to address that point. We'll take it to the Sharia board to consider rewording based on what is written in Standard 59. I hope Brother Abdul Razak would be happy with that. Next.
Again, check the article in Arabic. يعني يحرم كل, this is in Standard 59. يحرم كل ما يفضي إلى زيادة الدين في مقداره أو قيمته مقابل الزيادة في الأجل أو أن يكون ذريعة إليه سواء كان المدين موسرا أو معسرا, and so on. So this is the principle. So what we have in Standard 59 is we put it here in this standard. Then the exceptional case, it is covered by the cross reference to Standard 59. But if there is a need to for more clarity or more clarification whatsoever, so then it can be discussed, inshallah, with the Sharia book.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now we have this point from Brother Anwar Subra. This is again on the lease issue. His point is on 811D72. 811D72. So now his point is about long-term lease, which renders the lease into ownership. What is the relevant number of years for long-term lease? 10, 25, 40, or 99? He's talking about the long-term leases, which are considered as type of ownership in case of like leasehold lands in the cities. So his point is that long-term lease, which renders the lease into ownership, what is the relevant number of years for such? Is this issue addressed in the new HRI standard? That would, I think, be the first question, because maybe this is not the best place to address this one, but the question remains valid. That in the countries where, like, you have this leasehold land and leasehold property laws, where normally the city property is not sold on a freehold basis, it's sold on leasehold basis for 30, 60, 50, 99 years. So his question is about that one, because that is technically a lease, but for all practical purposes, it's considered as a ownership. So this question is raised by him. Now the question is, has Sharia board addressed it in the upcoming Ijara standard, or do you feel there is a need to address it in this standard? It depends on the legal system of the country. Like,
Legal system and urf, the custom.
yeah, legal. So you feel that we keep it open, sir, depending on the country legal system and URF.
Yeah. Some
Oh,
countries 50 years, some countries 99, something more. Maybe 1000 or 999, some other countries.
yeah, but the question is, there be a minimum to that? For long, there is okay, but for minimum, that would be the question.
The minimum should be more than what is considered ijara by law of the country. In
Excellent
some
point, sir.
countries, whatever is more than 25 is not an ijara, cannot be considered ijara.
Okay,
So
sir.
we leave it to the law of the country.
Okay. So, Brother Anwar, the point is that this is not a Sharia requirement technically. It will become based on the legal system and custom, as Sheikh Hussain mentioned. So I think it will be there. Brother Anwar has another point. He has like the same view that in Oman, Central Sharia Committee did not allow the sale and lease back like OIC Fiqh Academy. So technically, his point is it should not be allowed. So again, Sharia board, I think, has already considered these points. So I think again, your point will be taken to the Sharia board, but it's up to them. Brother Khwaja Nurul Hassan has. I think Brother Khwaja Nurul Hassan has some comments on the discussion we already had. He just mentioned that 6 months period was also accepted for that sale and lease back thing, and Baina definition may also be checked. Sometimes it's not a fictitious transaction to have interest ila. So I think Brother Khwaja Nurul Hassan, I think that that issue, unless you have a very specific point, it's generally would be okay because these points are covered. Brother Sohaib Umar, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sohaib, good to see you. Significant time should be specified, or at least by way of examples, as Sheikh Hussain explained. Otherwise, the malpractice in the market will continue. So, Sheikh Hussain, now this point again, because we discussed this point already, and we already said that we'll submit it to the Sharia board to reconsider if a time or something need to be specified. So the suggestion by Brother Sohaib is that even if the time is not specified, some guidance should be provided to the Sharia boards as to how they determine, based on the examples that you mentioned, based on that, how we can say we can establish that significant change is there. So maybe some guidance with some examples would be still beneficial if the rule of thumb 1 year is not specified particularly. Brother Imtiaz Hussain Abbas Hussain has raised a comment again on the same point. Significant may be explained in standard in terms of economic benefit to make it clear. Thank you very much, Brother Imtiaz. I think this point will be coupled with the point from Brother Sohaib and other points that we discussed, and will request the Sharia board to kindly consider the point again. Brother Zuhair Abdurazak on 8112C4. Sorry, 8112C4. 2C4. Okay. This point, Brother Zuhair Abdurazak, is about Musharaka Sukuk. It is permitted to speculate upon originator to provide a Sharia compliant securities for repayment of the capital in event of misconduct. In this point, Sukuk holders are considered the actual owners of the asset, and therefore they have the right to claim compensation for the loss of the rectification of the damage caused by the misconduct negligence rather than seeking the return on capital. Brother Zuhair, you just want a clarification, or you want to have a more specific comment on this one? Or you just want your understanding to be clear on this part? No, I think he's saying that the compensation for the loss or the rectification of the damage caused by misconduct. So, I think what you are saying, Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak, is what exactly is written in the standard. But if you have a more specific comment on this part, please just mention that what you want to say or you want to suggest the board to consider. So I just keep your question open so that if you have any additional comment on this one to clarify what is your suggestion to the Sharia board, we'll take that. We have comment from Megat H. Hassan on moral terminology. These would mean in relation to changes to 811B47 amendments to the same term of moral would be made to. Okay. There are 3-4 places, Brother Yusuf Azim Siddiqui, where the term moral rights has been used. So wherever we may, whatever is decided by the board, the comment should be incorporated in the paragraphs that are mentioned by the honorable participant. Thank you very much. Brother Anwar has point against C7. It was 8112C7. His point is on this one. Another economic concern, the clause and other previous similar clauses permit use of Sukuk proceeds specifically to settle debt only and not part of the general business operation. Again, this defeats the purpose of issuing Sukuk. Brother Anwar, this 8112C7 is about the capital of Sukuk investing in the general pool of the originator. This is actually, if the principles with regard to pool management and profit and loss sharing on that part is actually a genuine mudarba. So you should not be objecting on this one, because this actually, it's not about you are just managing the debt or something. It's about that those proceeds of Sukuk are actually invested in a genuine mudarba under which you have lot of assets which actually generate a return. Now, this is normally done for tier 1 and tier 2 equity Sukuk. So we have seen those structures, while only the profit sharing formulas and some couple of issues we have seen that those are there existing in some of the market, giving them more share than the participants and other things. Other than that, this is actually a very genuine product. So I don't know why you are raising this concern on the economic side. This is this is like that you have in the investment pool, you have risk sharing capital already available. You ask that some of that risk sharing capital becomes your tier 1 or tier 2 equity, and you add additional conditions to that. There is no harm in that. This is a genuine transaction, in my view. Mashayikh, you would like to add anything on Sheikh Dr. Anwar's comment, because he feels that this defeats the purpose of issuing Sukuk. While my view is that it's actually a very genuine Sukuk and it's based on very genuine returns on underlying assets.
Yeah, exactly. And as tier 1 would be, had it not been for certain clauses that are demanded by Basel. Otherwise, tier 1 would be the most ideal type of Sukuk.
Exactly. This is the real ideal Sukuk. You're right. Exactly. There are two things, sir. One is about some of the clauses of Basel for the conversion part. And secondly, sir, I think that at times they give them weightage, unjustifiably higher, or they somehow create first part profit for them and then they take it to the normal deposit holder. That is implementation error. But technically, this is a very ideal product.
Especially if they could get rid of this non-viability clause.
Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak, your comment on this return on capital, is it linked with the same point 8112C4, or is it with some other point? I think I'll just try to if you can just clarify this part, Brother Zuhair. Okay. Sir, here I have one of our very, very respectable brothers, Adnan Ahmed Yusuf, is there. So he wants to speak. May I request our team, can you please promote Brother Adnan Ahmed Yusuf to be promoted as a panelist? and allow him to speak. Brother Adnan Ahmed Yusuf is our, one of the main patrons of AOIFI since beginning. Still, he's our chairman of Public Interest Monitoring Committee, and a senior person like him taking his time out to attend the public hearing. It's highly, admirable, and, it's our honor. So sisters, if you can just, Sister Noof, if you can just promote Brother Adnan Ahmed Yusuf as a panelist, and then we allow him to speak before we take other questions, please. Okay, Brother Adnan Yusuf, you are promoted. Now you can switch on your mic and your video, sir, as you like.
Hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you,
السلام
sir.
عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياك الله أبو أحمد، كيف
الله
الحال؟
يحييك شيخ، الله يحييك.
حياك
ومبارك عليكم شهر شعبان وإن شاء الله رمضان في القدوم.
إن شاء الله. أجمعين.
Amen. This issue concerning the sukuk, we have to deal with it very carefully. And the reason for it, because as all of you know that we have three kinds of sukuk. We have the tier 1, as they say, tier 2, and the normal commercial sukuk. All of you have noticed that recently all the Saudi banks have raised sukuk. And purposely they use the word sukuk, especially Rajhi, for the flexibility in it. Number one. Number two, no shareholders will increase the capital for their institutions. So therefore, when we go for Sukuk Tier 1, we go because of two things. Our name is good, the cost of the Sukuk is good, and number three, there is no signal from the shareholders that they are interested to increase their own participation in the institution. What worries me is if we create a complications that you cannot roll it over or renew it. For Tier 1, I don't have any problem because Tier 1, they are within the same shareholder structure. But Tier 2, it has expiry date. And the commercial Sukuk, it has a expiry date. But we have to be very flexible because nobody is going to renew the Sukuk unless he has a difficulty or he is short of cash. Now, all the banks in Saudi Arabia, it is publicly known that they are short of cash. They have no cash to fund their investments or financing. So we have to be very careful on this issue. I prefer that when we draft this standards, we give flexibility also to the Shariah scholar within that institution, because what is applied in Bahrain maybe does not or cannot be applied in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia. But I think that my feeling, because I come now from the business side, not from the Sharia. The Sharia, mashallah alayhim, they know everything in that side. But at least also they have to listen to us what kind of difficulties institution they might have. Suppose interest rate is going up or interest rate is going down, and I have already borrowed on a high rate. But I want to switch it out and create another one, a new one. Furthermore, the Sukuk who buy it is other market, not the Muslim countries, not the Islamic financial institution. They take very small part. The rest has been distributed in the European market, in America, and also in the Asia. So we have to understand how the market, they react on this paper they are holding. This is just my own general comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brother Adnan Yusuf. Thank you very much for taking time to be here with us. Sir, I think I would just like to clarify one part on behalf of Mashayikh that rescheduling and others are allowed only debt-based sukuk. If it is created as a debt eventually, and there is a debt created on that part, that debt cannot be rescheduled, as Sheikh Usaid particularly emphasized on that part. Other type of sukuk which do not result in an eventual debt, they are all allowed to be rescheduled according to the terms and conditions defined here, and some flexibility for sure is available. Secondly, sir, we have conducted like already 4 public hearings. This is the 5th one. We are going to conduct one more. The whole process of this was including multiple 4 to 5 roundtables were conducted when we were working on this standard. So I can assure you that the Sharia board and AOIFI's management both are very much understanding the concerns that you raised about the practicality. And I think if you see, Sheikh Hussain, just a few minutes back, he mentioned that even the Sharia board does not take those strict views in some situation like those are taken by OIC Islamic Academy and try to make it more practicable. And this is like, understood, well understood. This message is well understood by AOIFI Board of Trustee Chairman as well. He has talked to the management and some of the mashayikh on that point as well. So I can assure you that the whole exercise of these public hearings, roundtables, and getting comments in writing, again, that we cannot compromise on Sharia. That is, the red line. But other than that, wherever the practicality considerations are there, we are trying to make sure that those are considered. So thank you very much, sir, for being with us. I hope you will continue till the end of today's session. And if you have anything else as well, you can raise your hand, sir, whenever you want to add something. Sir, with your permission, now we move back to the discussions we were having. Brother Zuhair has clarified about the point. He said that the term return of capital is not appropriate. Brother Zuhair, the translation here is repayment of capital. So here we are in this section, we are talking about repayment of capital, that is to the extent of the capital itself. And we are not talking about return. So you can say we are not talking about return on capital, only return of or repayment of capital is what we are talking about. This is in line with the requirement of the Sharia standard on musharaka, mudarba, guarantees, and all these that are already referred to here. But if you want to, but the next part of your question is, I believe that claiming compensation is more suitable in this context. Claiming compensation, if claiming compensation goes beyond the amount of capital, I think that is not allowed by this clause. This is where I would like to request Mashaykh, Sheikh Sam and Sheikh Hussain to reconfirm the understanding that here opportunity loss element is not required to be compensated, but the repayment of the capital is to be compensated. Am I right, sir? Sheikh Isam, Sheikh Hussain, sir, just to clarify, would you like to clarify this point? Because I have another question here as well.
You are right. You are right.
Okay, sir. Now let me add my part of the question. So there was a sukuk which was issued at 100, and then the profit was more than the expected return. Expected return was 7%, profit was 10%. So we kept 3% in reserve. Okay. So now capital of sukuk originally is 100, but the capital that is currently attributable to the sukuk holders becomes 103 because a reserve is also maintained or undistributed profit is also maintained for some time. So the question is that now there is a misconduct. Sheikh, if I put a claim against that misconduct, to what extent I can recover? Can I recover to the extent of 100 or can I recover to the extent of 103? Because 103 was already increased and already earned profits which become part of the continuing capital as undistributed surplus or as reserve. So the question is, if we are entitled, and that is my understanding that we are entitled to the extent of 103, which is based on the earlier earned profit, in that situation, the wording might need amendment. But if you say that no, already earned profit is not to be claimed in this situation, then the current wording is correct. So Sheikh Isam and Sheikh Hussain, we need to have more clarity on this part also.
And I think if you're talking about compensation, let's say due to destruction or total loss,
On the
يعني
misconduct and
yeah,
negligence. We are talking about
yeah,
misconduct and
mis
negligence. So my
miscon
original capital was 100,
yeah,
including
but
undistributed profit, it become 103. Now,
so
can I claim up to
now
100 or can I
do,
claim up to
do
103?
if you're talking about يعني that asset is now worth 103 when it was lost or destroyed due to misconduct or violation of
Yes,
term.
yes.
Yeah, then it's 103 definitely.
Exactly. So the
Mm.
repayment of capital and undistributed surplus or reserve should be added or explained.
Brother Omar, this issue, as I remember, already addressed in one of the articles, but I couldn't find it now.
Okay,
So,
so we take a note of it, sir. We take a note of it. If you and Sheikh Sam kindly agree to my submission of this point, that it's not the original capital, but the capital attributable to the sukuk holder at the time of negligence happening. So in that situation, we can if it is already covered in a clause, we can create a clause reference. If it is not covered in the clause, then we can put some explanation or change, instead of saying the capital of sukuk, we can say capital attributable to sukuk holder at the date of that negligence. Okay, sir. Just I think this point is noted by the team, I hope. Next, move ahead to the next point then. Okay, brother Anwar Subra has a further addition to his comment about the long-term lease point. He's asking about the Sharia ruling. So, Sheikh Hussain, I think you clarified that Sharia ruling will be based on the legal system and the urf of that country, and accordingly, Sharia it would not be appropriate to put it in the Sharia standard. However, brother Anwar, your point will be taken to the Sharia board. They can consider if they want to put it in this standard or in the Ijara standard. So the comment is well noted. Brother Mahmoud Rozi Shoaib has a point. The Sheikh Abdul Sattar has opinion of Sheikh Taqi Usmani on significant period where 4 seasons pass. Thank you very much, brother, for adding to our knowledge. Allah bless you. Then we have comment from okay, let me just do. I just want. Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak, I just want to, one of your comments says the wording is not clear. Actually, maybe we have moved ahead from your point. So just to reconfirm, wording is not clear in which point. Can you kindly put that thing more clearly here? My apologies for that because I just moved from your comment and later saw this was additional comment added by you. We have comment from brother Farid Karkabi. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, brother Farid, and welcome. Would it clarify the issue if you change so that the new by if the new? I think he's talking about the debt rescheduling part. We take note of your suggestion, sir. Brother Yusuf Azim, sir, can you kindly note this point for the translation part after rechecking the original Arabic? And then we can see, if it needs some improvement here. Thank you very much, Brother Farid. Next point is from Brother Waqarul Abdin Zainul Abdin, 811C8. Okay, let me go to 811C8. Okay, okay. So his suggestion is, original wording it is not permitted to link the return of the capital of Musharka Sukuk or the distribution of its profit to the conditions of originator's investment that are outside the activity in which the capital is invested, including the settlement by the debtors of the originator or their obligation that did not arise from the investment of the capital of Sukuk. Brother Waqarul Abdin Zainul Abdin's suggestion is if at the end with due compliance continues as a sentence and reworded as unless it complies with. So his point is that he's suggesting that with due compliance continues as a sentence and reworded as unless it complies with. Unless it complies with, his suggestion is 811. Sorry, it was 8111C8. My apologies. The point, that is why I couldn't understand this one. 811C8. Sorry, my apologies. It's not permitted for the originator to reschedule the Sukuk debt by, okay, it is the same point about this one. So instead of with due compliance, in unless it complies with. Okay, this is a good suggestion, honestly, brother Waqarul Abdin, Zainul Abdin. You have a very good comment here that instead of this wording with due compliance with can be changed to unless it complies with. Sheikh Hussain sir, in this way, a cross reference is automatically created that exception can be covered from SS59. Thank you very much, brother Waqar. Okay, next we have comment from Sheikh. The comment is again with regard to this clause from brother Abdul Hadi Hussain. What is the Sharia rationale behind giving 1 day in SS59? If customer wants to pay off the first debt with proceedings of new transaction, then he must be allowed to pay off. Sheikh, I think we can take a note of this one. This is a comment technically not on this standard, but on the 59 standard, which is already issued. Unless you want to answer it, Sheikh Isam or Sheikh Hussain, unless you want to answer it.
If Sheikh Isam allows me, the 1 day is required to be available for the customer. But if the customer decided without any previous obligation on him, decided to settle the previous debt immediately after 5 minutes, it's up to the client.
So the
But we
point
should
is,
make the amount
we make it available, but it's up to him to pay.
Of course. Okay, we make it available for the customer for 1 day, but if the customer decided to pay after 2 hours without any previous obligation on the customer, it's up to the customer. They cannot say you have to do it, and I cannot put it a condition in the agreement.
Oh.
And to ensure that there must be the proper um, credit risk clearance for that
Of course.
for that retainment of 24 hours before that. Otherwise, it just be any lip
Book
service.
entry. It will be
Yeah.
just a book entry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point, brother Abdul Hadi has saying, the point I think Sheikh Hussain already clarified, Sheikh Hussain and Sheikh Hissam, just to distinguish it from riba, as Sheikh Hussain earlier mentioned that riba al-jahliya, that you just extend the credit and increase the amount. That is something that is a direct form of riba, so that need to be prohibited. We have a hand raised by Koke Wazit, to just a request that please put your comment on the Q&A tab. Please, towards the end of today's session, we'll see if we can allow more people to speak. So just let me move ahead.
Just one point, brother.
Yes, brother Yusuf Azim,
Ma'am.
sir.
Regarding the 811.
Brother Yusuf, I lost your voice, sir. Can you kindly repeat, sir?
By brother Waqar, I think.
Yes.
Can you hear me, right?
Yes,
Regarding
now we
point
can hear you. Now we can hear you.
8111CD.
Now we can hear you.
So
Hello?
the comment which was there from brother
Good.
brother Waqar, that unless it complies with, so unless it complies with having it in English, but in Arabic it was not there. It's unless and until it says in Arabic, ma lam yura'i al-band. But in Arabic
No,
says
no,
wa
I think noted. It's not a translation issue. It is an
Yeah.
issue of amending the original text of the standard. Thank you very much.
So
So we are not
that
talking about just as because if we change it in English only, it will change the meaning. So the comment should be considered as a change in text first, then translation. But the
okay.
point what he was saying was that instead of creating a reference for due compliance, it should create an exception. That exception can be created according to that one. So that in that situation, not only in translation, but in the original Arabic text, corresponding adjustment need to be made first if Sharia board agrees. Thank you very much,
That's
sir.
clear.
Thank you very much. Okay, there is a comment of Brother Hani Abdulaziz exactly on the on this point. So it's C2. He says that the Arabic text is fine. The English translation just need a bit of improvement. What is the question is, what is the Arabic text here? C8, 8111 C8. Okay, I don't know whether he's talking about Brother Waqar's issue, Waqar's point, or he's talking about some other point. I'm not sure. Because yeah, the Arabic text is also not, as Brother Yusuf also mentioned, that it's not requiring a exception. It is talking to, it is creating a reference. But if Brother Hani, if you have a bit more clear comment about exactly what you're talking about, this will be better. We have we have couple of more comments from Brother Waqarul Abdin, 8111D43. So let me just go to D43. Okay. His point is that this is about Ijara Sukuk. So this clause should be clarified as not related to Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma. I don't think he's saying that it's appearing in Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma clause. No, it's coming into Ijara Sukuk clause, not specific to Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma. It's coming in general, brother. Sheikh Hussain, can you understand his comment that he's saying that this?
No, it has nothing to do with the Ijara
No,
Mawsuf
no, no,
al-Dhimma.
exactly. Oh, okay. Sheikh, if I understand correctly, the way standard is structured, we have discussed Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma, and then there are some general clauses. So his point is that this general clause this general clause should not apply on Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma. Means Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma should be excluded from this clause. That is apparently he's saying that
Why?
he says that. Okay, now that we need to see D11
Even the Ijara
D4.
Mawsuf al-Dhimma, yeah?
Yes.
Even the Ijara Mawsuf al-Dhimma, so the Sukuk holders will own the assets. However, the assets are still, before the handover, are still a liability.
Yeah.
Describe the assets, not identified. So we cannot issue Ijara Mawsuf al-Dhimma on the rental only.
Okay, Brother Waqar, I think Brother Sheikh Hussein's point is clear that this still applies on that one. If you have a bit more clear argument as to why this should not apply on Ijara Mawsufa Bizimma, please put your comment again. Thank you very much. Brother Waqar has another comment, 811D45, D44, and then D45. If the lease assets are partially destroyed or intended usufruct and the contract is instrumentally decreased, what does instrumentally decreased? And this is maybe a translation issue, 45.
Which clause he is talking about?
D111, D45, sir, on screen.
811?
Yeah,
Okay.
D811, D45. This is on the screen. He's talking about, and the intended use is instrumentally. بمقدار مفهوم.
يعني the what we
The
are
translation,
what that
the
what
translation need
yeah
to be reviewed here, I think.
yeah
The translation need to be reviewed because because it was a complicated sentence. So the sequence of writing of translation is not exactly as per sequence in Arabic, I believe. Brother Yusuf Azim Siddiqui, if you can take a note of this point, and we need to check the word instrumentally, what does it mean here? And maybe we need to recheck this translation.
Yeah, the word is naqsan mu'atharan.
Naqsan mu'atharan. Yeah, exactly, because it's not appearing in the uh,
No, it's appearing
is
in Arabic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Naqsan mu'athara, because but the point is that because of the structure of the sentence, putting the things up and down, even
Yes,
like maybe
because
you
that will
translated the whole sentence as a whole rather than keeping the structure of the Arabic sentence, which is difficult at sometimes. So
no,
I
that's
think
why
that is
that's why, brother, it was flipped in English translation,
yeah, exactly. It's
made it
flipped. It's
suitable for
flipped.
English
Exactly.
reader.
It's that I can understand, but Naqsan Mu'athharan instrumentally decreased or okay, can we just make a note of this point and we can consider this thing specifically to be considered instrumentally decreased might not be the best word here. We can suggest something. So like we just take a note of this point now and we will pass it on to the Sharia Committee for translation, inshallah. Thank you very much, Brother Waqar. I think it will be the Arabic text, I believe, seems to be okay. Only thing is that in translation, we need to recheck this part. Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak has another point about 8124D. 8124D. Eight one two four D. Okay, this is from 8124D. So the comment from brother Muhammad Abdul Razak is, and also he's talking about 8122C. So we'll come, okay, his point is 8124D and 8122C are contradicting with each other. So it is required that the breach in one of the multiple contracts should not result in breach of issuance as a whole. And 8122C.
Brother Omar, if you allow me, in
Yes, sir.
brief,
Yeah.
8122C is not giving the Sharia ruling, it's just describing this type of sukuk. And
Characteristics.
then, yeah,
Characteristics.
yeah.
Okay.
So 8124 is giving the Sharia ruling. So there is no contradiction.
Okay. Sheikh, can we put some disclaimer type wording that like in the 8122C we may say that in common market practices it happens like this. So,
It has
because the wording, if we say that in common market practices, it happens like this, what happens that then a reader can understand that it's happening in the common market practices. But then we create a cross reference here and say for Sharia ruling on this matter, please see the other paragraph.
This has been discussed already in the Sharia board, and they decided not to add the footnote because if we want to do this, then we have to do it in many other places. So
Okay.
when we read the context of the standard and its order, then it will be clear that in that part we are not talking about the Sharia ruling.
Because the heading says that these are the common characteristics.
Of course. Even when we spoke about for example, the tier one and tier two, we did the same. So we
Okay.
didn't, we described this sukuk according to Basel.
Right.
what Basel decided, it is end of the day, it's Basel requirements. But whether these are acceptable from Sharia point of view or not, this came later after that.
Got your point. Got your point, sir. Got your point. For me, it is clear, but if for Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak and other readers, if it is not that clear, at least a footnote or something. Again, we can suggest that if board can reconsider this point of creating a cross reference, that might still be okay to avoid that apparent
We
contradiction.
may put the cross reference in 8122C.
Yeah, 8122C, only a cross reference.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe this will be enough or better.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Then we go to the next point. Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak again has mentioned other Rasul Mal Hakiza hiya mawjuda. Okay, he's talking about the Arabic term. Arabic term is talking about other Rasul Mal Hakiza hiya mawjuda, the return of, a return of. So he's talking about return of here other as a translation. The translation done by our initial translation team, Brother Yusuf, has done as repayment of capital. So I think, Brother Yusuf, we have already discussed this point. Based on my comment additionally, the Arabic and the English translation both will have to be rechecked. Thank you very much, sir. Then we have.
Sorry, brother, it's not clear what is the comment in that I'adat Ras Al Mal.
He was translating return of. His comment when the comment box appeared as return of capital. So I said that translation is not saying return of capital. I said it's saying repayment of capital. And
Okay,
I think
that's
that
clear.
was so then he put this Arabic term that Rasul Mal. So he was translating himself as return of capital, while the translation done by you is saying repayment of capital. So I think that part, I think repayment of capital is actually correct.
Correct. Right.
Next comment is by Brother Waqarul Abdin. Does 811D46? Okay, this is something that we have to jump again and again. 8111D46. Now I think we are on the right clause. This is the clause. Does this clause prohibit including maintenance cost insurance to be the subsequent rent, or does it necessitate lessee's acceptance to change in rent amount due to these expenses? In latter case, should ijara contract be re-executed with the addition or an addendum type document to capture any change in amount will be sufficient? Sheikh, I'm just trying to understand his point. That his point is that in some of the practices, insurance, takaful, and maintenance cost are at times added as supplementary rental and they are applied as a supplemental rental in the next period. So the question is that he's saying that this clause not allowing the supplementary rental part as well? Because this is all understood that cost of maintenance cannot be reclaimed. But there is a practice of having a supplementary rental mechanism which actually reclaims that cost of maintenance as an increased rental, as a supplementary rental. So the question that he has raised is, and again this question will go with regard to the new Ijara standard as well, that whether the supplementary rental which recovers the maintenance cost and the kaful cost, etc., is it not allowed completely?
The clause is not allowing adding the supplementary rental automatically to the next rental payment. So, and this is not something new in this standard. It's already mentioned in the
Ijara standard.
No, in the standard 54. Now, in the new Ijara standard, it will be in the new Ijara standard, but it is not there in the existing Ijara standard. It is in the standard 54 for canceling the contracts. I don't have
the main point,
English
Sheikh,
version. However, yeah, if you allow me, Brother Omar,
Yes.
so what is not allowed is to add it automatically. However, they may agree at that time by mutual agreement to add it, then it will be fine. This is what
So,
the article is trying to say.
okay, so if I write in the contract, that a supplementary rental will be charged according to a formula equal to the last period's maintenance cost, is it not allowed? Am I right?
This is not allowed.
Okay,
If you
but
say that this element or this formula will be applied and the next rental payment will be increased subject to the mutual agreement of the parties at that time, before the commencement of the next rental period. So then
okay,
this will be allowed, and the lessee will have the right to accept or to reject.
okay. If the lessee rejects, what happens?
So we can execute the purchase undertaking. We can put it as a trigger in the purchase undertaking. However, in the exercise price, that in this case, will not add this amount to the exercise price. We will just execute the purchase undertaking without adding this amount to the exercise price. And this is, as I said, mentioned in the standard 54, sorry.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I
Or I
think
think there is a,
yeah,
there is a cross-reference to the standard, end of the
yeah,
article.
54 revocation of contracts or cooling off
Yes,
option.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I think Brother Waqar, your point is now very clear that it is not that it is not allowed, but it is not allowed unilaterally. That is the point. Unilaterally, it is not allowed. So thank you very much. And I think now with the new standard and the standard 54, it will all be aligned together, inshallah. Brother Anwar Subra has a point on 8311A. 8311A. Okay, I have to jump. 8311A. Now, I think I'm at the right place. Originator has the right to redeem Sukuk after 5 years. What is the Sharia reference for assigning 5 years? Why not less than less or more? I think this is about, again, the characteristics. Am I right, Sheikh Hussain, sir? So it's
Yeah, you
just,
are right. You are right.
yeah. So it is not a Sharia condition mentioned here. We are just clarifying that what is the characteristic of what we call as tier 1 capital Sukuk. Brother Abdul Wahab Muhammad Sultan has a point in reference to the composite Sukuk clause 812. Let me just go to 812. as a whole is about composite Sukuk. So his point is to clarify. It is acceptable if a pool of diverse asset already exists fulfilling the condition for Sukuk negotiability. However, it would be permitted if no such composite pool exists and a new pool is artificially created solely to validate the negotiability of debt. Wouldn't this be fictitious and akin to Hila? Does that standard include any clause to prevent such a scenario? So Brother Mufti Abdul Wahab, his point is that if you create a new pool, to artificially create to validate the negotiability of the debt, it is not would it be permitted? Sheikh Hussain, I think based on my understanding, I have my understanding, but please clarify this point because this is very important to understand about bundling of asset and creation of pool of asset for making them negotiable.
Brother Omar, this is already addressed in Standard 59 in Article 882. And here we have a cross-reference to that one, to that clause in this standard.
Okay, so but just to clarify to Brother Mufti Abdul Wahab, the point is that artificial bundling is no more allowed. Am I right, sir?
More allowed. In this case, you need to transfer if you have debt asset and tangible assets, for example, Ijara assets and Murabah receivables, and you want to issue Sukuk on both, the institution should create an legal entity like SPV or something like that, should transfer the assets to this legal entity, then the Sukuk holders will buy this entity.
Okay,
So
but
this
about
case,
the investment pool, sir, about the investment pool, so because in the banks there is an investment pool already.
investment pool is
Now,
fine because
yeah.
investment pool is there already.
No,
It
but
is
his
existing.
point is creating a new investment pool without creating a new entity. So, for example, Sheikh,
This is not
your
acceptable.
exactly.
Doing a fictitious pool, this is not acceptable. We have seen in some of the Sukuk, but now as per this, not this standard, but as per
By 59 because of
the
59.
standard 59 and this standard, this is not acceptable.
Okay, Sheikh, one question, very complicated. Now we have situations. I just want to put this thing because I know it's going to be very important for Pakistan. The situation is that Pakistan, the SPV law, the securitization law mainly addresses the issue of future current and future receivables. That is a conventional law, securitization law. There is no securitization law for Sukuk. Now, what happens that if I create a corporate entity as a SPV, that will be subject to taxes and all those things, and it will not be exempted because the exemption of taxation is available only to those who securitize under the conventional law. Till the time this issue is not recognized on the legal point, normally what happens that a lot of sukuk which are happening in Pakistan do not include, they do not include,
Receivables.
SPV. Now the
SPV.
point is, now the point is, if a bank or a company want to create a sukuk, including tangible and receivables and tangible financial and non-monetary assets, and legally they don't have a way of creating an SPV, shall we say that in this situation it's completely prohibited?
It is prohibited because on what basis they will buy the receivables, the debt? As I mentioned, there are some sukuk or some issuances we have seen where they bought the receivables. They just combined between the receivables and the tangible assets in the purchase agreement. This is not acceptable. No, none of the scholars have allowed this.
I'll go to the next point then, because this point is going to be important there as well. And I'm sorry, I'm clarifying some of the points for myself as well, but this is very important. Sheikh, if I have, it means I cannot do a hybrid tawarruk sukuk in Pakistan in this situation. I'm just clarifying that as per AAOIFI Sharia standard, I need to create a genuine bundle, which means genuine bundle will be having a separate legal entity to which this bundle is transferred. So if that SPV cannot be there, then because as of now, Pakistan has no tawarruk sukuk. But as the overall economy is going to be converted, new products people are talking about. So the question will come that if I have this issue of I want to do a tawarruk based issue that you have in UAE and Saudi and all these places. If I want to do that one, it will not be possible because I will not be having a legal entity for that part. And technically, AAOIFI Sharia standard will prohibit it absolutely that you cannot create this type of sukuk. Am I right, sir? Just based on this understanding of legal situation.
You're right. But what they can do in this case, they can issue the sukuk and then they enter into murabaha and tawarruq. This is acceptable. Here we are talking of buying existing assets, receivables. But if we want to do sukuk, and then after doing the issuing the sukuk and doing the subscription and collecting the sukuk capital, then the capital of the sukuk is invested in doing ijara and doing murabaha. This is fine. No need to have a separate legal entity in this case.
Okay.
Because the debt will be created on the account of the sukuk holders.
I hope they do only murabaha, not tawarruk. But that is
whatever.
just one thing. Yeah, that is a good point, sir. Thank you very much for that clarification. Because this does not apply to only Pakistan, it applies to so many countries where we know that the SPV law is very complicated or there is no SPV law at all. And if there is no SPV law, then taxation will be double because that entity will itself be taxed. So it will be a huge issue. Thank you very much, sir, for this clarification. We have now the point from Brother Mahmoud Razi Shoaib in the concept of negligency, with Brother Umar explained. Would it be same applicable in Mudarba Wakala on the concept of negligence? Yes, brother. I think the standard puts all the three type of all the three, which are participatory in nature. That is Musharka, Mudarba, and Wakala bil Istismar. Most of more or less these clauses are the same in the existing Sharia standards as well as this one. The next comment is Brother Zuhair Abdul Razak again, 8112C4. 8112C4. Eight one one two C4. Securities for payment of capital. So in this point, Sukuk holders are considered the actual owner of asset. Okay, my apologies. This point was covered already.
It's covered.
Sorry, my apologies. Okay, next point is Brother Anwar Subra, 8311C, 8311D. A311C, 8311D, and 8311C, 11D, and 8312D5. Tier 1 Mudarba Sukuk are treated as capital shares in cases when dividends are not distributed and kept as retained earning, and when these Sukuk absorb losses which oppose Mudarba rule to distribute profit to capital provider. On the other hand, it is treated as sukuk when originator chooses to pay periodic payment and redeem upon their discretion while capital shares are not redeemed. This is like a pendulum effect to treat Tier 1 Mudarba Sukuk as decided by the originator. In this financial engineering of a new financial instrument, which mixes shares and Sukuk together. Sheikh Hussain and Sheikh Isam, sir, which one of you would like to answer this one?
Sam left.
Okay.
He has
I think,
another engagement,
okay,
but
yeah.
he is right that Tier 1 capital sukuk is hybrid.
Yeah, this is hybrid and that effect is there. The point is till the time it is Sharia compliant and at times it maintains the requirements of this standard, we are okay with it. Okay, Brother Anwar Subra has suggested for that Brother Yusuf Azim Siddiqui, Brother Anwar Sobra, with regard to that translation of Mothar, he has mentioned significant. That can be considered as a appropriate translation. Again, I'm not saying that it's the best one, but you can consider it as an option that where it talked about that Mothar, I think it can be considered as significant.
Yes, noted.
Okay. And then we have Brother Mufti Khwaja Nurul Hassan, 8122C, 8122C. Sorry, it was 8122C. Okay. If we will give the heading as characteristic with the addition of word sukuk and then we'll write the ruling in later clause, this may confuse. This is the same clause, Sheikh said, that we talked about that point. Brother Mufti Khwaja Nurul Hassan is a point that there is a confusion. Again, what we can do to avoid confusion by cross-reference or anything, our Sharia board need to kindly consider that.
Inshallah.
Okay, Brother Najibullah Faizi, sorry for inconvenience. Today's session was and is very interesting for me because this was a debt which made us very specified in some points and also be noted. It's our time to pray. Okay, he wants to leave. Thank you very much, Brother Najibullah, for being with us. Uh, uh, on the supplemental rent point, 8111D4, supplementary rent issue. So his point is with regard to the supplementary rent point as per Sheikh Hussein's point, as per my understanding, which I understood from the talk, however, it is not written, this will not be acceptable to legal and all things need to be documented with some formula account, etc. at first stage, that these will be included in future rental. Please correct my understanding. Brother Khwaja, I think that legal and rating agencies have always their point of they have their own ways of writing something to manage the risk that they feel for the investors. So that goes on their point. But as I think the point is clarified in Sharia standard earlier clearly in 54, as Sheikh Hussain mentioned, and this one also, this is clear that this has to be with the mutual consent. Now, if the lawyers feel it is not possible, then actually, based on my own product structure suggestion some time back for somebody, because I personally feel the supplementary rental is not good. My personal view was that the better way is to have a higher rental with a reserve and a good management, a good with the agency and management separately being discounted after a period of time. But people don't consider that one feasible because it looks like that it will result in an initial higher cost to them. It works out the same way. Instead of adding it every month, you add a higher amount since beginning, and then you give a discount on that added amount only for the better management. So that is the other way around, and that is acceptable by Sharia standard anyway. So let's come back to the next point. Okay. Brother Abdul Razak has a long jump, and he actually said that sorry for jumping to that. That is, Brother Abdul Razak, I think we can take all the comments like this as in the sequence as ever you want to give. He's saying about 9 to 20. So I have to jump to that 9 to 20. Now we are at 9 to 20, and Brother Abdul Razak says that the question can be tackled later on once you have finished with Section 8. Under 9 to 20, it is mentioned that trading composite sukuk is permitted at any price if the tangible assets, usufruct, or rights in its underlying assets are more than half of the assets. The percentage is calculated by value with due compliance with Sharia standard sale of debt should the restriction on trading apply 33% or lower tangibility ratio. Trading composite sukuk is permitted at any price if the tangible asset usufruct is more than half of the asset. The percentage is calculated by value with due compliance with. Sheikh Hussain, here, what do we mean here because there is a 33% temporary, up to 2 years is allowed. Am I right? If it is allowed in the Belgian standard. So he is talking about this.
No specific time. The time should be decided by the Sharia board.
Yeah. So the point is that 33% is not appearing here.
Yeah. It's not here. There is a cross reference to the sale of debt Sharia standard number 59. So, but in the beginning of the sukuk, the tangible asset should be more than 50%.
Yeah,
But
that is correct, sir.
if during the life of the sukuk it goes to below 50%, but not less than 33, then in this case the Sharia board should put a plan to increase the tangibility ratio. But if the tangibility ratio goes below than 33, in this case the sukuk will not be tradable sukuk at cash, and sukuk holders should be informed and if the Sukuk are listed, should be delisted. If it
Sir,
is
whatever
investment,
you have said, I can recall it is very much clear in 59. But don't you think that this is a very specific standard on Sukuk? Then this is one of the most important conditions that apply to Sukuk. So don't you think we should repeat it here, or at least put a footnote of what is written in 59? Because this means that this is standard, and considering the significance of this requirement, that it is about credibility of Sukuk and very crucial, and it applies in so many situations. Wouldn't it be more appropriate to write it down either as body text or just a footnote? We at least in the footnote we put all the text that is there in 59, because this is very important. That is my first question and suggestion to the Sharia board, if it can be considered putting a complete reference here. So, brother Mohammed Abdul Razak, your point that about 33% on a temporary basis is acceptable by Sharia Standard 59. So, again, this is creating a cross reference to 59. So, that is again, Sheikh said, sir, if we don't write it down what is written in 59 here, then again, it is creating a rough reference, but not allowing an exception according to that. The choice of right words here again will be relevant, that any exception to the same shall be only in line with 59. That would be like maybe more clear wording, because here we are just creating a cross reference without saying that an exception to this one may be allowed under 59. So best would be maybe whatever you have mentioned about 59, like, can be brought in here, or otherwise at least we allow exception can be based on 59 on a temporary basis. That is one question. Second question, Sheikh Hussain, I remember I asked this question to you earlier, but I would like to put it in the, because this need to be clarified in the standard somewhere. Sheikh, when we calculate the tangibility ratio, for example, there is a Sukuk which has 40 million of okay, 51 million of tangible asset. And there is 49 million of Tawarruk transaction. Now, 49 million of Tawarruk transaction, normally the way it is interpreted by the market today is it is the principal amount of Tawarruk. Now, as per Sharia, as soon as the Tawarruk transaction is completed, the total the receivable value as per Sharia becomes principal amount plus profit accumulated on that till the as the sale price. So the total sale price becomes a receivable, even if it becomes receivable over a period of 5 years to 7 years. Now, considering the market practice that this is kept normally significantly higher to cover the risk related to the tangible assets as well. So this total receivable amount may be 80, 90, 100, 120. Considering that it's a 7-year, 5-year transaction, and it also covers the risk significantly of the total profit amount as well as the risk related to the tangible asset, which means that in my view, in my humble view, based on the accounting standards of AOFI, that the tangibility ratio becomes out on day one, because they are considering it 49 to 51 while it is becoming 80 to 20. Because if we put the total receivable amount, which is the asset of the Sukuk, that is by far more than the tangible assets. So this is a question I remember I discussed with the Sharia committee some time back on the accounting side, but this is something, if you agree to this, that this is a genuine issue, it might need to be addressed somewhere in the standard. Otherwise, this common misinterpretation in the market will continue.
Thank you, Brother Ahmad. For the first issue of which is repeating what we have in the standard 59, repeating that here, that this can be proposed, but as you know, this standard is too long, so adding more clauses will make it longer as well. But anyway, this can be proposed because it is important. Can be proposed, I mean, to the Sharia board. Regarding the second issue, you are right. What should be considered in the debt issue, not only the cost price of the murabaha, the cost price plus the profit. And therefore, in the market, there are two practices. One is just considering the cost price, which is wrong, in my view, and as per my understanding of the Sharia standards. The second practice is to take into consideration the profit, not only the cost price, when they do the calculation of the debt ratio in the beginning. So this is very important issue, and if it's not clear from the what we have in the standard, it can be. I think we need to make it clear. We need because the
Thank you.
mistake is, there is a misunderstanding in some practices. Yes.
So we will suggest our suggestion to the Sharia board to kindly consider putting this one, and we can put in by explanation explaining what is the impact of this thing, and they can find the appropriate wording for that part if they agree to it, as you personally agree. Thank you very much, sir. So we move ahead to the next. No, before that, I think. Sir, it is 11:47 Bahrain time. 11:52 is prayer time here. I think prayer time in UAE is already there. In Pakistan, it's already there. And from other parts, most of the parts, prayer time is already there. I think we need to take a break. It has been a marathon session till now. So we take a break for 20 minutes and we join back at 12:05 Bahrain time. And we have to continue till 1. And after that, we can take comments on all the remaining parts of the sections of the standard because we had long discussion on section 8 already. So after that, as this one was on section 9, so we can take all the comments that are on section 8 till the end of the standard after the break, inshallah. So with your permission, we take a break for 20 minutes or so, roughly 12:05 or 12:07, 12:08,
10,
and then we join
12,
back, inshallah.
12, 10.
12:10, make it 12:10, sir. Make it
Okay.
12:10. 12:10 Bahrain time, inshallah, we join back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Respected Sheikh, are you available? Shall we continue?
Yes, brother. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and welcome again. And thanks for continuing with us. Obviously, we can see, it has been a marathon meeting, so the number of participants has reduced, but I think we still have some questions that we have on the Q&A tab. And as I requested, now onwards, we'll try to take all the questions related to section 8 onwards till the end of the standard. So the questions that now I can see on my Q&A tab, the first comment is by Brother Abdul Hussain Hadi Hussain. The customer shall have the right to dispose of the sale price of the thing that he purchased under the new Murabha as he deems fit, even if the price is deposited in customer's account held with the institution. His right to disposition includes customer using the sale price as per his choice to settle the first debt after one working day following his receipt of the sale or getting it deposited in his account as per clause Shariah Standard 594134. Even customer is allowed to pay off after one day. The same issue is faced in rescheduling of Sukuk debt. Brother Abdul Hadi Hussain, thank you very much for creating that reference. I think the issue is already discussed. But what you want to add here is not very clear to me, unfortunately. Means that you are in favor of it or you are against it or you want this thing to be cross-referenced here. So just if you would like to clarify more on this part, that will be good. We have comment from Brother Harun Nisar. This is with reference to standard reference 8312C. So we are talking about 8312C. 8312C, not 832. 8312C. Now I think we are close to it. So his comment is, Brother Harun Nisar has a comment. This is a reference to 821C and rules of Tier 1 Sukuk 8322B provisions and rules for Tier 2 Sukuk. Under both of the above proposed standards, Tier 1 or Tier 2 Sukuk could not be issued by conventional entities even with Islamic banking operations. However, over past few years, conventional entities with majority Islamic businesses windows have issued Sukuk to grow Islamic banking businesses and have extended their Islamic business. Moreover, it has also provided good investment opportunities for market participants investors. The Sukuk proceeds should only be used for Islamic business and if effectively ring-fenced would grow the industry. Prohibiting the issuance by conventional banks even for Islamic banking business could hurt the industry. Sheikh Hussain, I'm sure that this has been one of the main controversial issues that has been discussed more recently. The concern is also valid by the industry. Would you like to put some light on that, sir?
As you said, this has been raised in the previous hearing sessions. The issue is not only to invest the proceeds of the Sukuk in the Sharia compliant assets or Sharia compliant transactions. This is, of course, is one of the requirements, but the issue is that as per the requirements of Tier 1, the subordination will be considered as sort of guarantee for the conventional liability of the institution, including the interest. This is the issue.
And also the convertibility is going to be to a conventional institution because there is no separate capital. So there are two issues. One is guaranteeing the conventional finance. Number two, once the conversion clause is imposed, that conversion clause execution will result in a situation that you have a conventional institution having this one. Sheikh, there is one genuine concern that I want to raise here, and it is based on some actual case being discussed recently. Sheikh, the situation of conversion of a bank. Now, I have a bank that has started the conversion process. It has maybe a 3-year, 5-year plan on which the process has started. Now, the problem is that if I go into that conversion process today, it means that the conversion process will be hindered if I'm not allowed to do Tier 1 and Tier 2 Sukuk. So a request and a very important consideration that need to be presented to the Sharia board is that in case a bank or Islamic financial institution has already approved conversion plan, which is approved by the regulator as well as by their board of directors and the shareholders, and they have started executing that one. And in that situation, they should be allowed this thing because the eventual conversion will be to an entity that is converting into Islamic. So even if the shares are like, if the sukuk are converted into shares, those will be converted into entity that is converting itself into Islamic. And if we don't do it, if we don't allow it, there will be a huge hindrance in the conversion process, because the conversion process will be getting stuck with the bank having the conventional bonds or conventional bonds or other securities to support the capital and not being allowed for this part. So this is a suggestion to the Sharia board, that if possible, the Sharia board should consider providing a very specific exemption to those entities who are in an approved conversion stage, and considering the realities of the the plan should be in execution. I'm not saying that I just announce and you do it. You should have a proper plan and everything. You can put whatever conditions you want to put, but if you don't do it, it will create hindrance in conversion.
This is a very valid point, Brother Omar. And as you know, in the convergent process, there are many exceptions allowed by the Sharia standards even. And we have a Sharia standard number 6 is for the conversion. And this standard is, and the Sharia board is reviewing this standard. And I think this issue can be addressed there. But here in the Sukuk standard, because if we need to mention it, we have to put the requirements and detail the issue. Just to say if the bank or institution is under conversion process, then it is allowed. This is not enough, because we know in the market that there are some institutions that which are still under the conversion for the last 20 or 25 years.
Yes.
So this is not a serious conversion, but they claim that they are under the process of conversion. If we allow this and open this door, then for them it will be fine to issue this type of sukuk. So the issue is very valid, but I think we should address it in the conversion of the institutions from conventional into Islamic, which is I mean in the standard number 6, which is related to this specific issue.
Okay, sir. Just a question. For example, this issue, we are discussing these type of challenges in the conversion process, and we are also working on governance standard on this part. And the point is that today, for example, we have Libya, we have Iraq, we have Afghanistan, we have Pakistan. These are the countries where some sort of conversion at the whole economy level is happening. Now, the point is that we were discussing this point in consideration with some of these, particularly some questions came in consideration of Pakistan as well. So the question is that if this standard becomes applicable first and that revised standard comes late, so would it be still possible to write something that till the time a new Sharia standard is not issued, this thing can be handled by the respective Sharia board or the respective, country Sharia board?
Without saying that, it goes without saying that the Central Sharia Board has the right to give certain flexibility. And when they apply this standard, they may exclude one or two or more articles, or they may decide their own ruling on these issues. So it is in the hand of the Central Sharia Board of these countries to decide. But in the standard, we have to put what we see it is right, that it is right and should be applied in principle, but the giving the exceptions should be left to the Central Sharia Board of the countries.
Thank you very much, sir. So it is noted, and obviously a suggestion will be forwarded to the Sharia board, inshallah. Now coming to, so this point, Brother Hussain Nisar actually is addressed and passed on to the Sharia board already. Brother Waqarul Abdeen has a point on 8113C1. The exercise price calculation is always defined in purchase undertaking where originator undertakes to buy the asset. Is this calculation also considered guaranteeing the capital and even return on capital by the way of exercise price? 813113C1. Sheikh Hussain, if you want to answer while I'm trying to find the clause, 811113C1, but if you want to answer this one.
What he is talking about, I think, is in the ijara and not in the mudaraba or musharaka
So in ijara, it can be included. Ijara and diminishing
ijara it can
musharaka.
be. In the
Yeah,
ijara it
ijara
can
and
be. Yes.
diminishing musharaka based on shirkatul milk. This can be included. It will not be guaranteeing the capital because it's not a participatory arrangement.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, so because originator is third party. Okay. I think this point is clear, Brother Waqar. Let's move ahead to the next point. There is a comment from Brother Mufti Qajar Unur Hassan, which was there yesterday as well. Dear sirs, had written in the chat box as well, would humbly request to include these excellent deliberations, extractions, etc. in the appendices of the official Sharia standard, as well as it will help in understanding and efficient implementation of the standard. Now I have left due to some earlier commitment. I will share some of my comments through email. So, sir, he raised this point yesterday as well. Sheikh Hussain, in the accounting and governance side, what we do, I'm just mentioning the practice that some of the important public hearing deliberations, which result in a change in the standard, or where even if we don't change the standard, but the deliberation is important to understand the context of the standard and the why the Sharia board or the respective board has concluded that one. We normally add all significant deliberations to the basis of conclusion. As per practice of Sharia board, basis of conclusion mainly include only mustanadat Shariah. That is wherever from the fiqh side something can be justified, but these deliberations and their conclusion are not included. Would it be appropriate based on Brother Mufti Khwaja Nur Hassan's suggestion if we present it to Sharia board that Sharia board should consider that whenever in public hearings pertinent comments are discussed, a summary of comments and their responses, and if there is a change in the standard because of it and not change in the standard because of some justification, that can be included in basis of conclusion. This will serve a huge purpose of appropriate understanding on this part. Would you feel it would be appropriate if we pass on this comment to the Sharia board?
Why not? Why not, Brother Omar? But I think it should not be part of the standard. It can be published in a separate document.
That is also perfectly all right. Either it can be perfectly all right. So let's try to do with this Sukuk standard at least. And actually IFSB and some other standard setting bodies have a practice that for public comments, they provide a separate document. So maybe again, not 100% comments, but all the significant comments and those comments which can be like, combined together. We can try to do it for this standard as a starting point. So Brother Shakir, Brother Abdurrahman, if we can have some discussion on this point, what can be done, how we can do it. So not as part of the standard, but just as a as a supplementary reading material that we can publish.
Inshallah.
Okay, next comment is again by Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak, 8312D8, 8312D8. Okay. He also quoted, it's permitted to certificate holders to make a binding promise to the originator pursuant to a separate agreement to sell them the underlying assets of Sukuk after a specified period. Please clarify which assets are intended to be sold back here. Redemption is usually done through liquidation of the Mudarba. Sheikh Hussain, would you like to clarify the comment by Brother Abdul Razak?
Assets of the Sukuk, assets of the Mudaraba. Where is
So,
it, Sheikh?
assets of Sukuk.
But I don't think in the tier 1 we don't have purchase undertaking. Is he talking about purchase undertaking?
No, originator may dissolve. Sir, even in tier 1, originator may dissolve if the conditions by the central bank are met. Like if their capital is enough, or if they issue another, sukuk, or sukuk or other form of capital, so then they can dissolve, or as a sale, it will, but it will happen as a sale, it will not be, put option will not be in the hand of the seller. That is in the hand of the
Of the sukuk holders. Yes.
holder of the instrument. But
Yes.
the call option. So here we are in the conventional term. Here we are talking about a call option, and that call option can go with a purchase undertaking, and I think that's okay then.
But the call option, we don't have in tier one purchase undertaking. It's normal purchase.
Yeah, but from what I'm saying, it becomes technically a call option when you have a purchase
Option, call
undertaking, and
option, call option.
So this is because it remains in the hand of the other party,
You're right.
It is also permitted for the certificate holders to make a binding promise to the originator pursuant to separate document to sell them underlying sukuk after a specified period in a specified price. So I think, Brother Abdul Razak,
This promise is, brother, is from the certificate holders.
Exactly. It's a sale undertaking,
from
not a purchase undertaking. It's a sale
Not from the
undertaking.
obligor. It's sell
Yeah.
undertaking.
It's a sale undertaking. So Brother Abdul Razak's point is that please clarify which assets are intended to be sold back here. So I think it's about the sukuk asset, whatever are the mudarba assets, we are talking about that.
Yeah.
Sheikh, but there will be a point. If the underlying asset is because I think now I can try to point his point. Because if you have commingled that fund in the mudarba pool, then is it a sale of underlying assets?
Yeah, their portion, their share in the
Okay,
mudarba.
yes. Their portion. So they will sell their portion to the bank. Exactly. Now I'm clear, sir. I'm clear. Brother Abduzak, I think you will also be clear here that it will not be a full liquidation of mudarba. It will be liquidation only of the sukuk part, because mudarba asset are in this situation are normally commingled in the main mudarba pool. So whole of the mudarba pool will not be liquidated, but only the underlying assets, or that proportionate share of underlying asset that is owned by the certificate holder will be sold. And this is a sale undertaking which is exercisable as a call option by the issuer institution originator. I think your point is clear, Brother Abdulrazak. If you have any further query on this one, please mention. Okay. Brother Harun Nisar has a point, sir, related to that window point. What if it is mentioned that issuance of time of T1, T2, that such sukuk would only bear losses of Islamic business only? I think, sir, you already answered that
will not
part
allow.
about the guarantee and conversion to conventional institution part.
If the regulator accepted this, then it will be fine from this angle. But the regulators will not agree to
but you will
qualify
not.
this sukuk.
Okay, I have a question,
T1.
sir. I have a question. A very unique situation. If I can issue a sukuk on a condition that if it is to be called, if it is first, it will have only the Islamic assets and all that. And the point is that if it is called, Islamic will become a separate subsidiary and only the subsidiary share capital will be issued.
You need to discuss this with the regulators, not with the Sharia board.
Thank you very much. It's a good. Your answer is very good, very clever. Okay, sir. We have point from Brother Anwar Subra. This is about it is on section 10. He's on 10.2. For issuance of sukuk, presence of a special purpose vehicle within the sukuk structure is not necessary, as the relationship can be direct between the sukuk holder and the certificate holder and the originator. Just one thing, Brother Yusuf Siddiqui, I think at some other places we have used the term sukuk holder. So maybe certificate holder versus sukuk holder, we need to identify what is the more common term used now. So just a point for the translation committee. Now, let's try to understand Brother Anwar Subra's point. So he says clause 10.6 originate owns the SPV. How is the ownership of asset be segregated in both cases? So clause 2 says that presence of SPV is not necessary. Clause 10.6 originator owns the SPV.
If there is a scheme.
If there is SPV. So if there is SPV, then there is no difference between and the originator in terms of relationship.
Yeah, for example, as I remember in Saudi, in the sovereign sukuk, the local issuances, there is no SPV. There is one of the companies, existing company, is appointed as an agent to act as an agent on behalf of the sukuk holders, but there is no SPV. And if sometimes we may do the sukuk holders might be one party. We do private placement, sort of private placement. So no need to have an SPV. So SPV is not a Sharia requirement.
That is understood, sir. But now
if
the
we
question,
have it, then we need to apply certain requirements, adhere to certain requirements.
Exactly. The point I think is that that Brother Anwar is trying to raise. Let me read it. How is the ownership of asset be segregated in both cases? If originator defaults or is bankrupt, Sukuk asset will be part of the bankruptcy assets, and Sukuk holders cannot claim or dispose of these because SPV is owned by originator. On the other hand, in case of dispute, there will be conflict of interest between Sukuk holders and originator as owner and manager of SPV. Originator will be inclined to protect his interest and not interest of Sukuk holder. It is good practice not to permit these two options. I think you have already answered this part, but let me put another question related to this tier 1 and tier 2. Sheikh Hussain sir, I think we had some discussion at different forums, and one of the important discussion points was that the promise of conversion should not be part of the main contract. While I think the standard is on this, is not very clear on that document to be completely separate. It's talk about undertakings and all that. The question is, this conversion of share cap of tier 1 or tier 1 capital to share capital, that if that is included in the same agreement, and that we have seen many places, what is the Sharia view on that part? Would it invalidate the transaction?
No, whenever, as per what we have in the Sharia standards, whenever we mention the binding promise, it should be in an independent document. So if we have missed to mention it here, so we have to mention it.
I think it is not very clear here. I'll just, again, Sheikh, it's a very long standard. Somebody may have missed out a couple of paras, but we need to check it again clearly.
83224 D4. 8322 D4. It's talking about the promise to sell for the conversion purpose. But you are right. It has not been mentioned that the promise should be in an independent document, so we can add it. It is missed.
Yeah, I think it's not there in that one, tier 1 Sukuk related specific points. It was not there, if I'm not mistaken, in a separate document, because this is a incorrect market practice that I have seen, at least personally, in a couple of contracts.
Yeah. Even if we don't mention it and miss to mention it here, at the standard of the promise, it's clear that the promise should be independent.
Yeah,
but it's better to add it here. Inshallah. Okay. If you have a comment, then it will be added, inshallah.
Okay. Just we note it as a comment, Brother Shakir, and inshallah we'll if some of the comments, obviously I'll personally send as well. Yes, sir. Okay. Next point is from an anonymous attendee. Okay. Can you also share the record of this public hearing on YouTube channel? Actually, by default, all of AAOIFI public hearings which are done online are available on AAOIFI's YouTube channel. So anybody who want to refer back to the public hearing, any public hearing that is online, all online public hearings, unless there is a technical glitch or something, they all are live streamed on YouTube channel of AAOIFI, and they are automatically added to the record of AAOIFI YouTube channel. So this is always shared. Sister Noof, just to make sure that it happens this time as well. Again, a comment from Brother Muhammad Abdul Razak. Brother Abdul Razak has comment on 10.6. Let me just go to 10.6 now. He says that it quotes as a basic norm, the special purpose vehicle should be owned by a party other than the originator. If it was owned by the originator, then there is no difference between the special purpose vehicle and the originator in terms of relationships and Sharia provisions. See Sharia Standard 56, etc. Exclusion should be allowed if the originator to own the SPV if local law regulation prohibit the sale of asset to an independent SPV such as sovereign or GREs as mentioned yesterday. Should we get the exemption from Sharia board for each transaction? Brother Abdul Razak, Sheikh, just to mention here, this is a Sheikh, before you answer, because this is an important point. I know Brother Abdul Razak is based in Bahrain. Bahrain central the Sharia standards, once they are issued, become part of law. So even Sharia board cannot give exemption if it is part of law, unless the Sharia board Sharia standard allows the Sharia board to give that exemption. Just I wanted to add this thing before you comment on that, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Here, the article is not saying it is not allowed. No, it says if the SPV is owned by the originator, then both of them should be considered as a one party from Sharia perspective. That's it.
Okay, so it means that where we have asked in different clauses of the standard or in other Sharia standards that a third party issue is there. Like, for example, they will not be considered for the purpose of third party guarantee. They will not be considered for a valid sale transaction between them. Am I right, sir? Is it talking about that? But it's not disallowing it. It's not disallowing it.
Yeah, this is one of the examples. The other example, it is not allowed for one party to sign the agreement on behalf of itself and on behalf of the other party. So here we should add an independent party to the agreement, the delegate, for example, to be party to the agreement, and then it will be fine. And this has been applied in some of the sovereign sukuk, because the SPV is owned by the government. So we cannot consider the SPV as a third party.
There is a lead agent or a delegate, or delegate that we call in different markets. So one of the banks become the lead agent or becomes the delegate, and he actually handles that those signings.
Yeah. So therefore, the article is not saying it's not allowed. No, it's just saying that both of them will be considered as one party from Sharia perspective, and we should take this into consideration.
Thank you very much, sir. Brother Abdul Razak, I hope this point is resolved. On this one, Sheikh, there is a question from Brother Kabir Nasir. Can members of the board of the originator be members of the SPV? If you are considering them same, then I think that doesn't make a difference. What do you think, sir?
Believe me, I put this as a note to be discussed with the Sharia board.
Okay, sir.
Because it is not mentioned, not addressed, because it is a very good point. We need to...
Because it's not owned. Okay, there is one situation, it's not owned, but they are the directors.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It is not owned, but the board of directors are the staff of the...
Staff or directors. Staff or directors.
Yes.
The board of directors of SPV are either staff or directors. So what we call orphan SPV. So we create an orphan SPV, so-called, but that orphan SPV's directors, trustees, or governing body is either the staff or the directors of the originator. So this will no longer become an orphan SPV.
So if we can put it as a note to be discussed with the Sharia board, inshallah.
Sure, inshallah. Brother Shakir, just make this point as like, in 2-3 angles, as Sheikh Hussain mentioned. So first angle is if they are owner or not. Second is if they create an orphan SPV, but still they have the same directors or they have staff appointed as directors of that one. So it is, we have mentioned about owned, but Sheikh, I think owned and controlled, the accounting and legal term that we use as controlled. So if we just add owned and controlled, it may serve the purpose as well. So Sheikh Shakir, please add this point that if we say owned and controlled, or even we replace owned with controlled, that still will serve the purpose.
Noted. Also, Dr. Yusuf is taking all comments at the same time. So we have to, alhamdulillah.
Okay, inshallah. Brother Anwar Subra has another point about the same thing. Ownership of SPV may be owned by the originator in sovereign sukuk, but not in corporate sukuk. So his point is that we like sort of prohibit it in case of corporate sukuk.
In corporate sukuk, we don't need it.
No, need
But,
it, but he's saying that we should prohibit it,
yeah, okay.
considering prohibiting, because in case of sovereign, we might have some legal issues, but for corporate, it should be prohibited. That is, I think, his point. 1114. Again, Brother Anwar Shubra has a point on 1114. His point is, in pricing Sukuk, what is ruling in case of originator requested from subscribers to provide bids for Sukuk price and expected profit, which makes it similar to the sale of bonds on action? Sheikh, if you recall, we discussed yesterday about that issue also, and you asked us to put this one, with a proper detailed explanation, particularly where the unit is not identifiable, because unit will be determined later. So this is the point where Brother Anwar has raised the same point. So I think this is, we will try to explain this one as a comment. Brother Yusuf Sayyed has a point. Can we say anyone with common economic interest, not just board of or employee? It is the point related to that one earlier we were discussing about the SPV. I think, Brother Yusuf Sayyed, what do you think about using the term control? Because the term control will include even having common economic interest and all that. It's just a suggestion. You can see this. This is something that we can address. Now we are reaching at 12:45 or so. And
Preaching Assalamu alaikum from Brother Zuhair Abdul Razzaq.
yeah, exactly. And because right now it is the first time that we have this Q&A tab is empty. Alhamdulillah. So Sheikh, at this point, I think we just hand it over to you to conclude, because only 15 minutes left. So we give you 5 to 7 minutes to conclude, inshallah, if you want. And
I don't need 5 minutes, Sheikh, to conclude. What to say more after this very useful and
so maybe
helpful
you can
discussion.
conclude and say dua.
Here we have Brother Anwar has a question, I think.
Okay, just question came up on 1126. Calculation of profit from the date of signature should be from the date of making the asset available in lease contract or appearance of the asset in other sukuk types. I think, Brother Anwar, it is understood, but you raised a valid point. But this is understood because there are so many different clauses addressing this issue separately in type of different clauses. But Sheikh said, I think, do you want it to be amended here in 1126 as well? Let me show again 1126.
Yeah. Here we made the signing, the date of signing the contracts as the start date of calculating the profit. So when here what we mean when we sign the contracts, that means the assets will be sold or transferred from the originator to the sukuk holders, or at least the sukuk holders will be the owners of the underlying assets.
Sir, I
So
think the
therefore,
second part of the clause is answering this thing already. It is not permitted to oblige the originator to pay profits or returns for the period that do not result from the underlying assets of sukuk in accordance with terms and conditions of the contract after their signing.
Yeah.
So I think this clarifies that part. Brother Anwar, the second part of the paragraph resolves your issue. There is another comment by Brother Waqar. Understand that by virtue of common shareholding or control, an SPV and the originator could be considered by same party. Given that, it's fine that originator acts as service agent, as collection agent, as guarantor for the revenue shortfall under separate agreements. This is scenario where the same entity is considered acting in separate legal capacities, but for the benefit of the same sukuk. I think the revenue shortfall is the only thing where I think this standard does not allow. Others, I think, can be done.
yes.
Brother Abdul Razak has a comment on 12.2. So I think are we going to continue again? This is a very interesting session, Wallah. Okay, 12.2. The Brother Abdul Razak comment is section 2. We are intending to grant priority rights over the sukuk assets to certificate holders in case of insolvency of the originator. If yes, the certificate holders would rank senior to certificate holders in relation to past sukuk issuance for the same originator. Okay, as I understand, Brother Abdurrazak, I think it will be driven by the respective contracts. Sharia would be silent on that. It wouldn't be a Sharia issue. It would be the issue, contractual issue, according to respective contracts.
The issue, yeah, and you're right, but the issue, Brother Omar, the underlying assets are owned by whom? Should be owned by the Sukuk holders.
Sukuk holders, exactly.
That's it. This is the, this is the mechanism of the or concept of the Sukuk. That's it.
Exactly. Okay, sir. Brother Anas has a comment forbidding the SPV ownership for corporates might be too restrictive. So just as we noted that comment, we note this comment as well. Brother Abdul Wahab has a comment on 10.7. Does the standard provide a practical mechanism to ensure that the SPV effectively represents Sukuk holder in both essence and appearance, especially when the originator established the SPV beyond merely outlining general principles? Brother Abdul Wahab, it will be more of a governance principle,
Yeah.
and some of those issues have been addressed in the governance standard on Sukuk by AAOIFI. But obviously, Sharia standard would not be generally going in too much detail about the governance issues. Brother Sadaqat has a point about 13.2 Sharia audit of Sukuk. It is required that the issuance is subject to Sharia audit in line with Sharia board's fatwa issued endorsing it. Question: issuance is subject to Sharia audit. Sharia audit is required before issuance of Sukuk or after issuance, and when the audit is required periodically. This is a very important point, Brother Sadaqat, that Sharia, depending on the nature of Sukuk, Sharia audit may be required periodically as well. So I think we need to see the wording. The governance standard requires that Sharia standard audit need to be done throughout the period. So I think we can consider requesting the Sharia board to align the requirements with what is written in the governance standard for a continuing Sharia audit till the end.
Here also, Brother Omar, it
Yes,
says
sir.
the Sharia, the periodic Sharia audit report shall be submitted to the Sharia board of the Sukuk. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So then we have, sir, so we make a note of it, sir. Brother Anwar Sobra, point 11.28, calculating profit payments according to variable index. Is this restricted to Ijara assets? Because previously it was mentioned that Mudarba Sukuk cannot be based on index. I think Mudarba Sukuk directly cannot be based on index, but the return on Mudarba Sukuk and incentive part or the tiered profit part can be based on index. Am I right, Sheikh?
The incentive can be
Yeah, incentive part or the
the
tiered profit part.
incentive
The
part, yeah.
incentive part or tiered profit part can be based on index.
Yeah.
So that is allowed by the Mudarba standard and allowed here as well. Brother Anwar has another point on 13.121. What if the fatwa is summary of couple of paragraphs and not detailed with brief description only? Brother Anwar, again, I'll refer to you to the governance standard, which provides a detailed outline of what a fatwa on Sharia on Sukuk or should include. Some of the things are, you need to understand that AAOIFI develops a standard in multiple areas. So you cannot put a governance requirement. The minimum of the governance requirements are to be contained in Sharia because to ensure that a basic non-compliance because of governance lapse doesn't happen. But the detailed issues with regard to governance are addressed in the governance standard, which has actually addressed this issue. Sheikh Hussain, sir, here I would like to stop taking more questions and will revert back to you for conclusion and dua, inshallah.
Yeah. After these 2 days.
And anybody else has a question, we can take it. Okay, there's another one. You want me to take this last one? On
Also,
41?
Brother Umar, you can mention that we are welcoming by email. Everyone
Yeah,
can send
exactly.
all
I was
emails.
just going to say that.
Yeah.
Brother Abdurrahman reminded that any other comments that you have, please send by email, or if those who are in Bahrain or otherwise close by, try to join us on 9th of February as well in the physical public hearing that will be held in Bahrain in Arabic language. Now, anonymous attendees, I will take it as the last question for today. This is last question from his side as well. Section 1411 to 1432. These statements may not be legally enforceable in English courts as they do not have the relevant expertise in Sharia and they are not bound to follow any other law. I think even in the English courts, the contractual obligations, if they are not against the law itself, are like are enforceable. So that is my argument to that. Sheikh Hussain can answer on his view on that part.
All right, but Brother Omar, usually the courts hire experts to help them. This is the practice in all courts. So if the English courts want to understand Sharia more and they have no idea about Sharia, then they can hire experts, and then they will help them. And here in this clause, we said the law should. First of all, we should say that in the governing law that the governing law will be applied as to the extent that it doesn't contradict with the Sharia principles. But if this is not possible, then we can go to the arbitration. And if
Exactly.
both are not possible, then we in the body of the agreement, not in the clause of the governing law, we need to mention that the parties have agreed to apply the Sharia principles and AAOIFI Sharia standards on the Sukuk. So there are certain levels, 3 or 4 levels, as I remember, and many options. So any one of them is doable, can be applied.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. And then obviously we have to conclude. So I just close here taking further questions, and just Sheikh Hussain, we request you to make any final remarks and have dua so that we can conclude.
Nothing more than thanking all participants for their very useful feedback and comments, discussion. MashaAllah, this hearing session was very useful. And it is, I can say, different from some of the previous hearing sessions. The last one, as you mentioned yesterday, will be in Bahrain and will be physical. We hope that our colleagues or the participants will be able to participate in the last hearing session because the Sharia board and AAOIFI in general are looking to receiving the comments, feedback, questions from the industry, because as we all know, this standard is one of the most important Sharia standard will be issued for the for the Islamic banking industry. That's it. This is what I have. I will say سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وجزاكم الله تعالى خيرا.
Jazakallah
Thank
khair.
you.
Jazakallah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you very much for your hard work on the standard and being with us on this one. Thank you, everybody, for being available here. Thanks for the team for arranging it. Brother Abdurrahman, you want to say something?
Oh, Jazakallah khair, wallah, Brother Umar. Even we want to thank you. Yeah, mashallah, you did good job yesterday and today. And Brother Sheikh Hussain, mashallah, always he's the most supported from board, Sharia board. Jazakallah khair. And Sheikh Assam and all attendance. Jazakumullah khair.
جزاكم الله خير. شكرا.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
السلام.
Wa alaikum assalam.